I thought that might be something that they do, but we're starting out on Chalet.
Starting out in Chalet, one of the best maps, if not the best map for FaZe Clan to start this series. Parker and Jesse, you have a good one to start off.
Long since T-Law and FaZe finished up their bouts, and now we launch into something that we hope, Jesse, is a little bit more competitive because, well, T-Law FaZe wasn't. FaZe doing what FaZe do best, being the ever so dominant team, and now they find themselves in the grand finals going up against FURIA, who are hoping to prove to people after Salt Lake City that this FURIA squad is the real deal. A victory here against FaZe Clan would certainly quell some of the concerns people have.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think this FURIA team is incredibly talented, but still unproven. They did not do what they wanted to do back in Salt Lake City. They haven't really shown themselves at an international level. And while, of course, this is a domestic competition, it's a domestic finals here for Stage 1, it would be good for them to be able to put their best foot forward heading into the Esports World Cup, finish off with the win, enter that tournament as the champions here in South America. It's a real fun battle of old versus new, Parker. You've got the youngest player in the league, Bogzera, going up against the oldest player in the league here in Cyber. A roster that has been around without any changes for years now in FaZe Clan versus FURIA, who 3 months ago, 5 of these players had never played with each other. Like, brand new team just put together for this season. And then you've got Chalet, a map that FaZe Clan are playing for the 10th time this season. 6 wins, 3 losses, and only one of those losses coming in regulation. By far, one of their best maps. I shouldn't say by far, they have a lot of good maps, but no doubt one of their strongest locations, and a map that FURIA have never played since assembling this brand new roster. So I'm super excited to see how this one goes down. Certainly FaZe Clan have a lot of things going for them in terms of experience and legacy, but this FURIA team, they are scary when they're on.
This is the one thing that we said quite frequently in Salt Lake City and in the run-up to it. Commentators from across all regions also touched on was that the tools for FURIA are all there. It's about getting them all together and making sure that they're on the same page. Though a post-mortem was likely done by the team, it might have even been done in Portuguese and published. For us in the English-speaking world, we didn't really get to see what all went awry with FURIA during Salt Lake. And unless you're using Google Translate or watching that content and you do speak Portuguese, it's very tough to figure it out. But some of the speculation from fans of Brazil and some of the players that are formerly from Brazil was that there were too many cooks in the kitchen for FURIA, and managing egos and tempers was a bit of a problem. Now, when you've got players on this team, all of whom have had some varying level of success, there's going to be a bit of an ego here. And I mean, look at one of them on your screen right now. Loira Demon shutting down 2 players of FaZe as they get into the building. You know what they're capable of from a kills perspective. You just got to manage the emotional energy as well. And for FURIA, that's a huge boost as we're halfway through the round, and FaZe has already lost 2 of their best players.
It's a big round start from Loira here. He's still inside a bar, hoping to get some more frags here, taking this fight against Vidaking. It looks like his teammate Bogzera will go down, but he remains alive down there on the bottom floor, fighting for his life, being collapsed on by all angles from players on FaZe Clan. They're focused on clearing him out, but they just can't do it. Loira for 3 now. They're still focused on finding him. Bolp steals 1, but it's traded back, and just KDS in the 1v3. Doesn't even last long enough to cast it.
Dude, Corn Pop came in real big there for the clutch. I gotta say, what a great set of casting from our good friend Corn Pop 16. And of course, round number 1 goes to FURIA here on this map. There was really no doubt about it after Loira sprung out with those first 2 kills. FaZe caught flat-footed. The one thing we did say against T-Law was that FaZe marched to the beat of their own drum, which means excluding a lot of those intel ops from many of their attacks. I know that there is still operator repick available, but with what's being brought by FaZe, more information is always better. Blackbeard and Monty Band Out are great bands against FaZe Clan. They play these shields so frequently, Vidaking in particular. So that allows you to play operators like Deimos, like Snake, 2 of the strongest operators in the game. It also means that your auxiliary ops like Nomad, like Grim, like Capitao are on the board, and every hard breacher can get brought as well. The big obstacle for FaZe Clan, Jesse, is getting over the hump of quote-unquote no shields, because Blitz is doable, but you best know that Vidaking's going to play the Monty if he's available.
Huge for Loira to be able to start off, in particular with that triple kill, Parker. You go back to Saturday's victory in the upper bracket finals versus T-Law, and that was a game where Loira, despite the 2-0 win, frankly was invisible. I mean, he had almost no impact on that series. We were waiting for him to show up. He finally did at the very end of that game, but Loira just wasn't a very impactful player in the last best of 3 that this team played. So to see him get off the bat and find a triple kill in the very first round, I think is huge for the confidence of FURIA. They will feel in themselves that they can do this, absolutely, but just proving it to themselves in that first round, I think, is critical.
FaZe is on the Ella this time around, not Loira, so they pass the operator off to yet another sensational fragger, and Herds has been back in his world championship, I should say, winning form. 7th highest rated player in all of Brazil, highest on the team. Diaz had that distinction during kickoff. Diaz sitting in 12th, so not that much farther down, and still a really terrific run of it for Diaz as he sits almost plus 30 in his KD, which for a player who frankly didn't really get the level of respect in North America that many suspected he'd have, must be feeling pretty good about this renaissance in his career now that he's back in his homeland of Brazil.
FURIA down on the bottom floor, too. I mean, this is not a bomb site we see very often, Parker, but as a team who has never played this map before, it kind of falls to them to redefine the meta a little bit, take their own spin on it, bring their own take, and we'll see exactly how that works on the bottom floor. So far, they've done a good job on the side of FaZe Clan of taking the map control. They forced a lot of these roamers at least back down to the mid floor, but they haven't cleared out Kitchen, they haven't cleared out West Main. That means their util here on the main wall is not doing what they'd hoped for.
Got Loira on the run. Souls will find the very first kill. Souls was one of the big difference makers, clutching round after round against T-Law. If he can have another incredible series here, FURIA's fraggers will need to level up to deal with him. And then you've got Cyber and Handy waiting in the wings. Excellent pinch onto Loira. Cyber credited with that kill, but it was a joint effort as Souls was involved as well. This will put FURIA on the run. The one thing that doomed this T-Law squad and might now doom FURIA too is that when you win a round, FaZe Clan tends to bounce back and bounce back really hard. And they do just that. It's over. Yet again, another round that ends before it feels like it's even really begun. Cyber, 2 very important kills, and it's a tie game through 2 rounds.
Tough one there where they're holding so much map control for such a long period of time, Parker. It felt like FURIA had what they needed to win that round, but the fact that they're just not able to keep their top floor players alive really comes back to bite them. Herds there on trophy stairs. I mean, he's good for one. He's the only one that really gets any value for his team, but he's also kind of baiting them, right? Like, he's not able to get in the gunfights and help out. Doesn't actually engage until both Boxzera and Loira have fallen in the middle of that push. So you got to imagine if Herds is a bit more active, maybe he can support his teammates a bit more. Even still, that bomb site is so tough to win as a defending team. They had to hold that top floor and win some gunfights. FaZe Clan just very well coordinated on that clear with Cyber and Souls working together to make sure that they have that top floor control. And then Handy, why not, just blasting players inside the site. Tying things up nice and even here, all at 1. We should have a good series on our hand, Parker, despite kind of the differences in these two teams. I'm really hoping we get a longer end finals in front of us.
I hope so as well, but the thing that makes me most curious is it was speculated on by Lynx and X, and I mean, we have to kind of bring it back here, is this Chalet map for FaZe Clan is inarguably their best map, and it was allowed through the ban phase. Now, FURIA, statistically speaking, are a much better defending team on this map, but it's been a long time since they've played it here, so I don't know. Maybe it's just that they've waited and they've workshopped it and they're bringing it out. But I mean, like, this seems almost like a freebie for FaZe, which then obviously sets us over to Bank as the decider. You never want to let one of your opponent's best maps through. And the fact that we're seeing Chalet with FaZe Clan playing this is a bit of a head scratcher.
Well, again, Parker, they've never played this map on the side of FURIA. The old roster has, sure, but once they actually assembled this 5-man core, this is a completely new set of circumstances. So showing it off for the first time versus FaZe Clan is kind of a fun grand final surprise for FURIA. FaZe Clan clearly not intimidated by it. They'll still take it, but we get to finally see what FURIA look like on Chalet. So far, it doesn't look bad despite that second round not going their way. I'd imagine they play all 4 sites. Cyber, a free kill, was right at his fingertips, but he only shoots one of those utilities and then dies to Boxzera afterwards on the hatch. So rough start to come through from Cyber in round 3.
Xera sees one out on Repel. His position known. Volp's there now for the assist. Right you are about the last time Furia played it, by the way. It was all the way back the 6th Invitational when Furia last played this map. Their last win came during that event versus Elevate of all teams. So a very different look. That Furia team is now Team Liquid Alienware. So again, a hell of a debut, and a run out from Herds does not net the success he wants. He does get back inside with his life intact. Volps also equally lucky, as now Herds will try a second time through the window now in West Main. FaZe, though, sinking their teeth into Furia, and it's left Herds down below with Diaz upstairs inside office as a very integral part of this defense. Final minute now. Furia will hang on as FaZe Clan have a huge advantage.
Diaz Lucas, one of the best clutch players in the entire world. He's done tougher clutches than this before. He's got Herds to blow too, to call if that defuse kit does start getting planted, so the information's really good. 40 seconds still to play around, but Souls finds the head, and that's going to make this so much more difficult. Herds can impact trick this Nitrocell, or this plant as it goes down. He'll find it here, but even this, they should have plenty of time to reposition it. And he doesn't even deny it. That's brutal, actually, from Herds.
Well, he gambled so much down below. He did keep FaZe busy, to his credit, but unfortunately for these Furia teammates, it was not the right players that he was keeping busy. He takes one down before he's traded out very swiftly by KDS, as FaZe is locked in the post plan, and they'll take the lead on their own map.
Tough for Herds. I believe that was a plant on the bed, so it would have been really difficult to get an angle to deny it anyways. Not much he could have done differently in that position, but smart from FaZe Clan to choose that plant spot. Really just dealing with these players before they have to go for the execute is the biggest thing, right? Even Herds, they kind of dealt with by dealing 90 damage to him outside those west main windows. And at the same time, Vidiking, Handy, most of them outside the building, able to find really important picks in the mid-round just to get them that big man advantage on the top floor. This is the problem with playing on Chalet on the defense, Parker, is there's so many strong window angles that you can fight from outside the building that it makes holding map control as a defender really, really difficult. The Azami, in theory, should make that a bit easier for you just because you can block off some of those windows, but it didn't do a whole lot for Furia in the first 3 rounds, and it certainly won't be doing much of the next 3 rounds that has now been banned out by FaZe Clan.
Grim, the operator ban, that was one operator that we talked about going in favor of FaZe if they want. Grim does function in a lot of ways. He's an information operator for a lot of teams. He's very good in the post plant, can be used for scouting missions effectively. I like the Azami ban as well from FaZe Clan, but nothing really too surprising about these two operators being taken care of. Furia has had some, what I would imagine are some communication issues in these mid to later portions of the rounds. They will now go back to the bomb site that did them so well back in round number 1. It was Loira starting things off with those 2 picks that FaZe Clan didn't really seem to see coming, and Furia only lost 2 players in the process. If they can replicate that success, they'll have a tie game, but obviously not ideal for this team. Is, again, we don't really have a lot of data. The organization, aka the old roster, had great numbers on defense, but that's the T-Law core now. They're no longer with Furia, so we're kind of flying blind here as to how Furia approaches this map. But again, with it being FaZe's map pick, you have to assume Furia is starting on their better side. It's not good if the only site they can win, Jesse, is this kitchen dining site, and even then, it remains to be seen if they can replicate that.
Oh, Loira barely stays alive. He's hard on drone, so despite his 3K last time they were on this bomb site, Parker, it's going to be very difficult for him to accomplish the same thing. Tracked by the Deimos now. He has some teammates nearby, but this is a very awkward position. FaZe are throwing everything they have at clearing out Loira.
He's being hunted down. There's no business in Loira staying alive that much longer. This FaZe team might not be quick, but they are thorough, and they've pinned him down, yet he still takes down Cyber from his spot. All right. That's a bit of a devastating play, especially given that that was the Deimos that was so doggedly tracking him. Loira's fearless, Jesse. He's got backup from the Thorn of Volps, but Loira's not giving up this position at all.
They have to get a trade on him sooner rather than later. They'll call him with the Dokkaebi charge and take the fight, but there's other angles that Handy's worried about. Of course, up above, there's some players inside the site, too. Here's the swing. A second for Loira playing in bar. And a third right on a KDS. How about it? Finally, they trade Loira, but it's way too late. Parker Vidiking in the 1v4, and there's nothing else that he can do. Loira dominating on this kitchen bomb site.
All right. Okay. Loira's almost single-handedly winning both of these rounds. So let's step back for a second here, Jesse, and talk about FURIA as a team. And all these times we say things like, oh, look at this bomb site. Oh, look at this. Well, really, it's just the Loira show at this point, single-handedly keeping this team in this fight. I mean, when he was on that G2 roster, he was able to do this as well. For reasons that were explained by some of the team members, some of them vague and some of them a bit more, well, I guess straightforward, Loira just didn't fit the team from like a vibes perspective, and they wanted to bring in other players for that role. So Loira goes all the way back to Brazil and has now been a pretty decent force for this team, but isn't having the statistical best year. He's 23rd of 50 players, but he's in good company because Volps is 25th and Boxera is 26th. So there's a bit of a logjam there. But when we were casting the FaZe team 2 days ago, what we said is that if the worst rated player on your team is somewhere in the mid 20s, that's really damn good. FURIA can say the same. Boxera is their worst rated player and he's 26th out of 50 players. So FURIA's dominance is from a statistical standpoint. They finished second in the group stages. Now they're here in the grand finals as they march their way through the upper bracket. And, well, all of their players are playing very, very well. It's safe to say this will be their big test. And if they can overcome this FaZe Clan roster, they will enter a live event, which is EWC, with more confidence than I'm sure they had when they went to Salt Lake.
Yeah, this will be a big moment for them if they can get the upset win. 2-2 tied here on their opponent's map pick, but somebody other than Loira has to step up at some point, you have to imagine. Right now, Loira's been great. They go to a fourth bomb site. First time that we're seeing bar games here in this contest, so we'll see if this one makes any difference for FURIA. Top floor and basement, both not doing them any favors as they weren't able to win those sites, so keep it on the mid floor, try to keep things similar. Very heavy top floor roam coming out from FURIA at the moment as FaZe Clan try to lure in these players and hunt them down.
6 kills for Loira, and he's got 2 silhouettes just outside of that piano window. With the Scorpion in hand, it makes very quick work of whatever finds itself in your way. Boxera takes KDS down, and that looked like it was a kill that Loira really wanted. Herds on the board too for FaZe as well, and there goes Herds. Loira and Diaz last 2 standing, but Loira starting to fire up this war machine, Jesse. Down goes Cyber, 2 still standing on the side of FaZe Clan. A showdown, half of the round to go. Over half of the server dead and gone. Not a lot of utility here for either of these sides. A nitro cell for Diaz, a Guzmont mine in pocket for Loira. Still 2 of those Jegio payloads and flashes for in Souls' pocket. Then Vidaking has smokes of his own. So it's kind of a wash. It'll be mostly coming down to gun skill as FaZe Clan advances towards FURIA's position.
Yeah, I like how much time FaZe Clan have, but they also have a lot of maps still to clear. They don't know where these players are at. Anybody on FURIA could be ratting around any one of these corners. Here comes the Dokkaebi call to spot Diaz. He's sitting on blue stairs. Loira not too far from him as well, so it feels very even in the 2v2 50-50. I still think I like FaZe's position better because they have so much time on the clock to hunt these guys down, but really it's going to come down to the individuals.
Vidaking now, as he searches inside the lobby, looking towards this bomb site. FURIA far enough away at this point in time as Loira is inside a back bar. Still scouting time for this FaZe Clan team. Again, not a slow team, a methodical team. Both Diaz and Loira with good guns in their hands. Sidearms out on the side of FaZe, and Loira's about to do it again, isn't he? Versus Souls in a 1v1. Souls, Mr. Clutch, but Loira's got the genes today. Goodness gracious, one man on a rampage to shut down FaZe, and FURIA takes the lead.
Parker, I don't understand how there's still so much snow out on this map because the demon is heating it up here in the server. Loira playing so damn well right now. Every round they've won has come off the back of his heroics. Of course, Loira, he's had a journey. You mentioned his time on G2. He played his rookie season back in 2023 with Black Dragons. Spent the latter half of that season with the team, the first half of 2024 with them before being signed to G2 halfway through that season. played in Europe for a year and a half before just coming back to FURIA at the beginning of this season a few months ago, and I think he's really been able to find his footing. You said it, has had some stumbles this stage, has not always had the biggest of moments, and even their last game on Saturday was probably the worst player on this FURIA roster, but when he's required to come alive in the grand finals of SAL Stage 1, this is where you want to see him shining, and 9-3, he's done exactly that defending on Chalet.
10 seconds to go.
Well, you wanted a great series, and so far map number 1 is not disappointing. Loira being the main person with a pulse on the side of FURIA. Could you believe that he's got 9 kills and the entirety of the rest of the team has 9 as well? Volps was hoping for him and his 3 other friends to hit 10 just to topple Loira's lead, and it's making FaZe Clan pause a little bit. Vidiking is trapped in this position. Volps has him pinned down, and nobody from FaZe is there for the assist just yet. Volps will try for a 3rd time. This is some serious cojones on this man, Jesse.
One of the most aggressive IGLs in the entire world, hoping to find one of these picks. Looks like FaZe Clan have gotten away. Their own IGL survives the encounter, and we'll start working on these windows. But that's a crazy 45 seconds that just got burned off the clock. Even though there's no kill from it, that's a lot of value being brought by Volps in terms of the damage he dealt and the time that he just wasted.
Out go the Candelas. If FaZe Clan can draw even here on the first half, presuming that they go to their favored side in the second half, that is a big boon for them. FURIA's win con is to persevere and succeed in this position. They'll lose Loira. Uh-oh. Now it's up to the rest of the team, but FaZe Clan taking no prisoners. 3 unanswered kills till Volps stops the bleeding. It's him and Herds. Both can make so much noise, but there's a blitz on the board. There's still a Candela. There's still smokes. There's still nades. Oh boy, FaZe have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to ways to tackle this site. And they've still got the glass up as well. Soul's picking apart Volps. Herds to try and clutch it, but he runs right into the blitz. And FaZe will survive the first half, denying FURIA any advantage whatsoever.
And Ollie, if 2 words, well, I guess 3 words, technically, if you want to be fully accurate, 3 words describe that half, it is bar, games, and Loira, because while this might be a tie game, one player on FURIA really showed up.
In a massive way. I said this talisman team needs to have talisman players because that is what it is built around. It is built on big individual performance and standing up when your team need it. Loira, for me, was that player in the first half. He absolutely owned Bart and Games, and it took FaZe a long time to try and really figure out a way of dealing with him, and they never really shut him out in this area of the map in particular. Bart and Games, of course, a big entry point onto the map of Chalet in general, not just for FaZe, but for a lot of different teams out there, and FaZe consistently having trouble dealing with him. It looked like they were, you know, a little bit more Liquid-esque really in the way that they were struggling to deal with players in power positions. That was a criticism that we threw to T-Law's direction and was something that we sort of thought FaZe did really well at previously, and it seems like they'd struggled. It also took them till round 6 to even think about bringing a shield, and as you can see, when the shield's brought, things start to happen a lot easier for this FaZe team.
Well, especially on Chalet, where so much can come down to the window play, and if that's not working, the shields are often normal fallback. Coming in quite late, of course, as you said, it does get them the tie half, but Loira holding down that position, FaZe finding difficulty clearing that position. Big reason why this game is as close as it is, though FURIA are coming way out of that half. The leaders on the opening duel as well, so plenty of good statistics going their way. But as we move to the opposite side, Ollie, obviously FaZe were extremely dominant on both sides of the game earlier against Team Liquid, Alienware. But those attacks, every time they switched them, winning at least, I think, 3 out of the 4 that they attempted on the back side. You think we're still, well, I suppose, now that we are seeing these defenses, should we start getting worried for FURIA, given the streak that FaZe were building earlier?
It's a difficult one to say, isn't it? Because FURIA's defensive record on this map is very good. It's near 70%. Their attacking win percentage, it's a little bit less. It's around 45. So, yes, we are expecting them to have a bit of a tougher time as we transition onto these attacks. As always, the bans will play a big part. We are going to get a Mirror and a Monty removal, so kind of following a lot of the trends set in the opening half of this fixture. The shields being a big focus, as they should be against both of these teams. Both teams have great, fantastic shield players, and you will expect them to be rocking shields given that chance. Now with Blackbeard taken off, it really does only leave you the Blitz. It's the same tools that FaZe had, and they were still good for a 3-3 split. FaZe continuing to target that area, and Fury on the flip side with that Wamai ban. Now, obviously with Wamai being so strong right now, it does kind of open the door a little bit, and you're going to have things like an Azami available that you can call on if you need.
Yeah, some operators that normally we don't get to see on Chalet that make things oh so complicated for the attacking team, but Fury with some good tools. Oh, but that's for Parker and Jesse to break down.
Thank you very much, Lynx and Ollie. Indeed, we have the second half upon us, and this is going to be a fun one, Parker, because we've got the best defense team in South America moving on to their better side on their map pick. This has to be where FaZe stand up and show why they chose this map, show their dominance up against a team like FURIA. Second map, of course, is going to be Bank. That's one where it was chosen by FURIA. It's been played a lot more often than from FURIA than what we've seen from FaZe Clan, so
Got there.
I'm hoping that this can be FaZe Clan's redemption. This can be their time to step up and take the lead over, but we really have to see that from them first.
Settle in now here to the first round of the second half. I was impressed, admittedly, by Furia's defenses. It's always an eyebrow-raising moment when a team brings out a map for the very first time, and while we have the statistical numbers for the organization, it's a completely different set of players. The only existing member of that old Furia squad is Herds, who I guess in this case just takes up the mantle for his former team, as the other four went off to Team Liquid Alienware, and I would say greener pastures, but T-Law's not in the finals. It's Furia that's here. So Herds, I suppose, having the last laugh, and T-Law didn't even qualify for Salt Lake either. So Herds has definitely been succeeding in that regard. Boxera was the first one to come to blows with Handy as it was a run out from the smoke, and gambling your smoke that early on is also an eyebrow-raising decision. So FaZe Clan must have known something that we don't.
Clearly had some kind of information going on in the midst of that, but not able to capitalize on it. That's okay. More opportunities. Who else but Loira finds the opening frag of the second half, takes down Cyber, roaming down here in the basement. Despite playing on that mute jammer, the information was still good enough for Loira, so gets that man count advantage now with 90 seconds to go. This mid floor has been mostly cleared out. Only Souls remains as they start to collapse on the top floor as well.
Down goes Boxera. After Cyber had died early on, Handy wanted that kill a good minute ago. He will finally see his patience rewarded. Lawyer and his 10 kills also now dropped, as there goes KDS. Furia showing some real aggression here on attack. Surprisingly so. We thought that FaZe Clan would ride this better side, and numbers-wise it would seem to suggest that, and yet Furia is bringing a whole whack of new strats to deal with them. FaZe Clan will keep these numbers close as Loira is still bleeding out. Vidaking with one, and he will be tasked with finding the rest now, as he's lost souls by his side. Loira is being retrieved, so 3 players from Furia now all holding weaponry. Vidaking up top, Jegio payload going off, and he will have to silence his phone or take some damage in the process. He chooses the latter. Harassed by drone, he knows that there's one over by library stairs. He's still being watched. He'll lose some of the wall to the Selma. 30 seconds left, falling away. They've repositioned over towards piano window, and Vidaking is on the run. Time for Furia. An issue. 20 seconds remain. They don't have the defuse kit, and they will both link up and look towards this double door. Vidaking's got the read. He just needs to square himself away to the fight. Very limited HP. And Loira, of course it's Loira, pops up and shuts him down. Furia regain the lead.
Loira in the bottom left part of your screen, if you're not 100% sure, drinking out of that Red Bull cup, making sure that they can have all the hydration in the world for this series. And listen, Furia, I know that the stats are correct. I know that they haven't played this map before, Parker, but it does not seem like that when you watch them play in the server. Just the way that they're clearing this map. They've got isolated players clearing through down below inside of basement, that fine, but then even up above, everybody working together to be able to pinch on these library players, be able to find this space around games and make sure you have good map control before going for your execute. It's really, really impressive, and I love the tools that are being brought out by FURIA, you know? I feel like we always talk about this on Chalet, but that trio of Dokkaebi plus Deimos plus the Snake is so oppressive to play against, and it gives just such incredible information over towards the attackers. If you can get some pings on some guys, tracking them and calling them at the same time while having their location and POV spotted for you on the Snake scanner is just impossible to play against. So FaZe Clan, they're doing their best here on the roam game, but FURIA have great information. They're hitting their shots today. Mostly Loira, but also some good value out of Herds and Volps today as well. Just feels like they're really practiced on this map, despite the fact that they've never played it.
Yeah, very, very impressive for this FURIA team. And I mean, I really can't underscore, or I guess really in this case, I really can't overstate, if it makes more sense here, how poorly FURIA did at Salt Lake City. They looked like one of the worst teams that made it into the main portion of it, not through play-ins, because obviously it was Los, the team in Brazil, who got to that position. And FURIA just immediately got sent packing. It was a really rough go of it. Obviously, kickoff was relatively short. There were a lot of teams with new looks, but that Dark Zero team was a brand new look, and they ended up winning the grand final. So really no excuses here, just based on the amount of time you had to succeed. This particular round for FURIA starts off quite poorly. They lost Loira about 20 seconds ago. They will trade Cyber out, so that's Fragger versus Fragger now down for the count. FURIA has, to their credit, been able to keep so many of these rounds really close.
The Demon temporarily slain. Now you've got to find someone else to get some impact. Of course, Hertz has been good. The only other positive player here on the team, 5 and 4, has had a player cross his sightline twice now, holding the long angle, but Trigger Discipline has kept Handy alive. He's not been able to find this pick just yet, but the information again is flowing to the team. They're really good on FURIA, just collapsing on these players, waiting for them to walk into their line of sight. Again, just playing with their food. KDS, he knows these angles just as well as FURIA does, and he's going to be careful not to walk into it. Does for a moment there and loses some HP, but is still alive.
Fire will shake him off of his position now as KDS waltzes away from that one. If he wasn't aware of the flames coming from the Capitale, the telltale sign of the Para would have given him away. KDS does eventually get found by that Para in hand by Diaz, but not before Herds has also died. So you've only got 2 of those intel ops, and both of them were the first 2 removed. Now it's Boxer in pursuit of these FaZe players, but he hits an untimely hatch drop. Diaz has died upstairs, so FaZe Clan with the advantage and a minute still to go. Volps has the defuse kit. You're really going to have to trust Boxer here in the coverage if objective play is your focus. With 3 players from FaZe still alive, maybe not. Volps will have to settle the score now with 2 players as he expends the rest of his munitions into the corpse of Handy, drops through lobby. A man on a mission as FaZe hope to lock him out. The support players on FaZe still largely remaining. Souls, I suppose you could call him just a fragger these days, but he's going to be on pulse, calling on that cardiac sensor. Gas canisters going out from Vidaking. It changes where Volps can go, and he was hoping for the main hallway, now has to go back to the B-bomb door. He'll be able to get in there without taking any damage from the gas, but the moment he waltzes through the door, FaZe Clan will likely pounce on him. He's given himself away by shooting at the wall. Running out of time. He's not even going to attempt to bait out the plants. The crossfire established very well. Vidaking the final kill, and FaZe Clan will tie things up.
Could not have been played more perfectly from the support duo of FaZe Clan, Vidaking and Souls, so well in that 2vx situation to be able to make that happen. Information lacking a little bit from FURIA in that round. I know I was just praising it, but they didn't catch Handy's flank up through Solar, pushing the top floor. That's a huge miss. They already had a dead player. There should have been a cam watching for that. They didn't quite catch him in the flank there. And then in that final 2v2, just not checking the player inside a mud room. A little bit sloppy. It's a rat position. It happens sometimes. You don't have time to clear every single corner, but it's that lack of information that really came back to bite FURIA so far, Parker. And I've got kind of a crazy stat for you 8 rounds deep into this matchup. Of the 4 rounds where FURIA have won, Loira has been responsible for at minimum 2 kills. He has 3 triple kills and then a single double kill on the 4 rounds where FURIA have won. On the 4 rounds where FURIA have lost, Loira has either been the first or second person dead in the server every single time. So it seems like the game plan should be clear from FURIA. Keep Loira alive until at least 2 other people are dead. He'll go off and get a multi-kill, and you can win the round.
5 seconds left before insertion.
It's really that easy, isn't it, Jesse?
Simple as that.
It's as simple as that. What I don't understand when teams start to lose is why they just don't get more kills. I mean, it really does seem at service level so simple. Like, just kill your opponents. You only need 5 of them.
Well, they're not as tactically genius like you are, Parker. You know, I think a lot of pro teams just haven't figured that out yet. I think they got their best minds working on it, but for sure.
Hope they discover it. There's a lot of good out there. These teams go to my, you know how Call Out over on Dark Zero has his whole like coaching academy.
Yeah.
What they really need to do is they just need to listen to my coaching advice. Boxera's got 3 kills. Academy. Here's how you can improve, Boxera. Get more. That'll be $50.
The Intero Academy, where results are not guaranteed, and it's mostly just a scam to extract money out of the players. But you never know.
I feel like you're saying the part that I'm trying not to say out loud, and that's giving up the game, and I don't like that very much. Got a minute in here, by the way, and information ops being brought yet again. Doe could be swapped out. They'll bring a Deimos and a Snake this time around. Loira, the first casualty yet again. I mean, that's incumbent on his role to get kills, but you expect him to be in the line of fire really early on. Herds refrags KDS, but Diaz has died elsewhere. Herds very selfishly using this gadget, as we see a lot of Snakes do, and put it away quickly. Pull out the F2. Herds taking care of Vidiking. That's a bit of an unfortunate one, as Boxera survives, cannot beat the Nitro cells, 2 of which unsheathed, finding their targets. And they land in the laps of Furia. Now it's Herds in a 1v3. Cannot control the recoil, so pistol comes out, but FaZe just have too many players staring in that direction. And with that, FaZe will take their 5th round. They regain the lead in this seesaw match that we've been seeing with Furia.
Well, Parker, the stat continues. If Fleur is the first or second player dead in the round, that's going to be GG in a round for FaZe Clan. 9 rounds in a row where that has been true. And again, you really come down to that top floor hold. Such a powerful position to be playing with that Tuberau Kaid combo. It makes holding office so strong. And I thought Handy played absolutely phenomenally in that spot. At the same time, you had Cyber down below. Cyber, not always known as a site player, but from below where that push was coming from inside the bomb site, he was able to land those Nitro cells, get a couple of vert picks. He got an early frag onto Diaz through the floorboards, which was absolutely critical to stop that push coming through. Diaz, of course, on the Ying would have been massive to use a bit more of that utility to clear the top floor, but he didn't get to send out even one Candela. No, he sent out exactly one before he got killed by Cyber. So it was a huge lack of utility there from Furia as they lost a couple of important bodies early. Now at a 5-4 scoreline, FaZe Clan on their map pick, 2 rounds away from taking it. There will be a tack timeout called by Furia, hoping to right this ship and find their answer in the end of regulation.
I mean, when else would you have an opportunity to call this timeout for Furia, right? I think this is pretty perfectly timed. I know that we've been critical in the past of when teams want to call the timeout, but I mean, your next best scenario would be next round. But I mean, if you lose that, then we'd be critical of them for calling it with just a single round to go. So I do say greatly appreciate Furia's timing on this, and they are an organization that funds their team well. Seems to never have a problem with coaching staff. That old Furia squad had a ton of coaches around them. And oftentimes we talk about the head coaches, but we don't focus so much on everybody else and how much goes into that. Your analysts, your assistant coaches, so on. And even some teams have like chefs and sports psychologists and stuff like that. And it does go a long way for player comfort and allows them to focus on doing the best in game. For Furia, this is about as good as you could hope for so far this stage. They found themselves in the grand finals, and despite the fact that they are going up against FaZe Clan, who seem like a runaway freight train at this current point in time, Furia can still derail them at some point. I'm certain of that, but it really does come down to Loira. If he continues to be ineffective on these entries, way better on defense so far than he's been on attack. If Loira is not able to fix this, your greatest asset, a player who you could argue won 3 of your 4 rounds for you, is gone. With FaZe being so good on this map, Jesse, I begin to worry for Furia. So for Loira, that's the big thing. Confidence in being able to enter and take down FaZe without getting thrown right out of the building.
Well, he's brought the best gun in the game here to round number 10. The F2 on the Snake can be so devastating when used in the right hands, and it's hard to argue that his hands aren't right. Got a little bit of alert going on from Cyber down inside of the basement. Definitely a bit of a rat spot coming through from the Vigil. Was going for a spawn peek, as he so commonly does, but didn't find anything with it. FURIA have the tools to go for a bit of an explosive rush here, Parker. I'm not saying they definitely will. A lot of their bodies are still over on this library side of the map, but you know Volps on this blitz is looking to make some kind of explosive entrance at some point in this round. The library extension really just being held by Handy, who's up there, I believe, in the hallway, and then you've got Vidaking back in piano, KDS on Mez, maybe the other aggressive player that they're trying to clear out at the moment.
Well, we'll go those smokes. Loira hops on in, a minute and a half into the round, and he's still alive. That's obviously confidence inspiring as Volps charges right past him. They almost collided with one another. Volps taking some damage. Herds dealt with by Cyber. The Vigil roaming and not being spotted by FURIA is a bit of a blunder. Out go the nades. Volps taking even more damage. Handy takes care of Volps, but there's Loira to get the cross. There's no opportunity for Cyber to ascend those library stairs alive. Loira's on the board, Jesse. What more can you ask for FURIA?
He needs one more for the stats to remain true, and he needs FURIA to win this round, so we'll see if that continues. 3v4, they've got to dig themselves out of this man disadvantage. Diffuse Kit is dropped, but it's not too far. They can pick it up if they go for this execute. What I'm worried about is just all these different positions being played by FaZe Clan. KDS is down below. They saw him drop. They had him on the B, so they should know, excuse me. With Vidaking going down, the site's left a little bit weak.
It's a concerning sign. As the Loira's going to get some information. Box Era walks. Slow peeks Handy. Takes him down. Now back to get to the bomb site. FaZe will come, but KDS is shut down effectively. Loira having another monstrous round. Souls was so good clutching against T-Law. He started the clutch one. He's almost dropped Loira. It looked like he might have been able to get him. Diaz was also on the door frame. Took a little bit of damage in the process. The Diffuse Kit kicking away in office. FURIA wants to send us to all the way to round 12. If they win here, we will need every round in regulation. Souls has no information, though. It's winnable. But Souls is going to need some mistakes committed by FURIA, and right now that is just not happening. Diaz entering the bomb site as the timer was almost at the point of no return. FURIA tie things up. 5-5. We will need all 12 in regulation.
And the stack continues to hold, Parker. Every single round, Loira either one of the first two people to die or getting at least 2 kills, and that always determining who wins the rounds. That time it was a double kill to come through to help out his team, but really, I think you got to focus on Diaz and Bach in that 3v4. The gusto to just be able to walk into sight, find your picks, and be able to force that execute to happen. I think FaZe Clan a little asleep at the wheel, frankly. That push came in pretty early, around the 60-second mark, and at that point, FaZe Clan maybe weren't expecting all of the angles to come in at once. We saw really good control of office. Of course, the players back on Mez trying to take some space, pressure in towards piano. Like I said, KDS was down below the site, so they knew that he wasn't going to be a problem unless he still had that nitro cell. So really good, I think, call coming through from FURIA just to spot out those site players, push forward, take them out when they're not expecting it, and take a bad situation and turn it into a round win.
Ash being swapped out now for FURIA. There we go. Only a single intel, true intel op being brought, and that's the snake in the hands of Loira. That operator's been passed between him and Herds to varying degrees of success today. Diaz will also play an intel op of his own, as that info will come through the Grim. I do find it a little odd that Boxair has been playing this Twitch with the F17 or the 417 instead of the F2. I do wonder if maybe that's a caliber-based destruction thing. DMRs are traditionally much better at making holes in walls, floors, and hatches than any assault rifle will be. Or maybe he's just more comfortable with the DMR. The funny thing is that even with the F2 buffs, the 417 is still a damn good weapon. So it's not like you're really losing. It's just you're not using probably the best gun on attack currently in the game, which is the F2.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The 417 is still very good. I know some players that are like less confident with their aim will run this, but that's usually not what Boxera is concerned with. Already pressure onto Handy. He's got to get out of dodge ASAP. Uses those Kiva barriers perfectly to escape, but KDS not so successful. There's the 417 firing for Boxera. Another one back on a Cyber, and this map control they've taken is so good. Loira does go down. It's a jump out from Handy as he gets back into the building, but what a start for FURIA. Huge map control taken in the first 90 seconds.
First Blood's relatively even too. Jesse, 5 for FaZe Clan, 6 so far for FURIA. As we are in the 11th round, that math does add up. In case people are curious, looking, well, it's only been 10. An impact from Handy secures the remainder of Volps. And FaZe Clan have turned their own bad situation right around. This is far more winnable, but I do like the guns on the side of FURIA a bit more than what I see on FaZe. If you can keep the Pulse of Souls alive, though, that gives FaZe a massive advantage from an information standpoint. Losing the Snake, losing the Blitz means that this execute for FURIA is going to be a lot more challenging. It's going to be more of a direct hit with less concealment and less ways to deal with these defenders.
Lots of soft breach, though. You see Herds using some of these charges to open up the floorboards. That makes the site really claustrophobic. They have to be careful about the angles they're playing. Everybody's got to worry about that verticality, and there's no flank coming through this time. Last time on this site, it was a big flank from Handy that made them win the round. Now he's stuck inside the site. He's down inside of Dining, so he's either got to commit to this flank ASAP, or he's just going to be holding an off angle from a little bit far from site.
Oh my goodness, there's Handy with another 4 for Handy. Who will be credited with this final kill onto Herds? Should Herds fail to clutch out? Bit of King's Gas keeping Herds at bay. Herds is very much the type of player who will not try to fight this just to keep his opponent from getting an ace, but Herds knows that this is a must-win. Vidaking steals it away. The ace denied. But FaZe Clan won't care at all. An ace is a small thing, Jesse, when you've lifted 2 hammers. Far less of consequence. FaZe Clan moves to map point.
Huge round from Handy. Put up 14 kills to just 4 deaths in the second map of that best of 3 on Border we witnessed not too long ago, Parker. So he is on fire today, having huge value being brought in for his team, and that 4K just goes to cement it. One of the reasons why Boxera might have been running the 417 there is specifically to counter those Kiba barriers, but Handy just didn't seem to care. Even if they had good DMRs to clear out that Azami utility, we still saw Handy getting so much value out of them. There's a world, if Handy's not as good of a player as he is, where he's the first one to die over on Solar Stairs as that blitz from Volps rushed at him from down below, but he used his utility smartly to get away with his life, and then he had impact throughout the round, early to equalize that man count back down to a 3v3, and late to just play inside of Kitchen, not play predictably like going for that flank he went for that last time. Instead, just sticking inside of the hallway, sticking around Dining, finding those kills as they flood on in. So perfectly played by Handy. 11 and 6 now, very close to his 14 kill total from the last map.
We're picking things up. Herds picking things up. They are far and away leading this team, but it's a heat sink of kills, Jesse. 5-10 for Boxera, 5-8 for Diaz, 5-10 for Volps. It's crazy that those are the kill totals for this FURIA squad, given what we're seeing of the scoreline. Yet for FaZe Clan, who are just ahead by a single round, they've got only 1 player with a negative KD, and that's their worst rated player all stage in KDS. He's not the one tasked with kills. You got guys like Cyber doing that, who just ran out and killed Loira in the first 15 seconds of the round. That is devastating, and FURIA might not be able to recover. It's FaZe Clan on match point, Jesse. If they cannot, that's it for map 1.
Yeah, that is a huge loss. They have yet to win a round on this map where Loira has not gotten at least a couple of kills. So the fact that he goes down early could be horrible for FURIA's chances. They still have 4 very capable players, but we just haven't seen what we're used to out of this FURIA squad in terms of clutching up. They've thrown Boxera onto the blitz. Volps just not finding like it was his operator. Of course, Volps is supposed to be kind of the flex IGL. Boxera, the young flex fragger that's supposed to be joining this team, but changing things up as their opponents hit match points. They've got to find some other way to break through. Clearing this office position with Handy on the 2-brow was impossible for them last time. The Maverick will be a good answer to it this time, but they have to be good on their angles.
Every Kiba barrier that goes up there as well and gets dealt with relatively fast, that's information for FaZe Clan that there is an attacker directly on the other side of it. And make no mistake, the way that the Kiba barrier breaks is different depending on whether you're meleeing it or shooting it, and you know exactly what's there. Really good coverage by KDS. Did talk about his KD, but he's providing valuable utility work for his team, shooting the Selmas that were thrown out by Diaz, taking care of the blitz of Boxera, who's not able to advance the way that he wants. Down goes Volps. The man that will have to save this round for FURIA is going to be Herds. He's the only one who's been able to stand up consistently to this FaZe Clan aggression. Keep in mind, Diaz and Boxera are still there for support too, but it's going to be a rough go of it as FaZe Clan still has every player upright, and there's 50 seconds left for them to ride this out.
They know that Handy's in this corner. They'll flash him out and hopefully get a free pick onto him, but there's no shield here. Finally comes in box there. They'll get the kill, but what does it cost? They lose one more body as Cyber hits the deck. Now Vidaking will get a second kill, leaving Herds all alone trying to push through this top floor. Big swing from Vidaking. Closes out the game, and that'll be 7-5 for FaZe Clan on their own map pick. It was a close one from Furia Parker, but ultimately the two-time world champions are successful.
You're going to struggle. Bank is on the end of things where they're not that hot. They took quite a beating on this map against Old Dark Zero, and I don't know. I do feel like this is where Furia have a chance. If they keep playing the siege that we've seen them play so far, which is this togetherness, not that heavy reliance on the clutches, rounds being won through genuine team play and genuine big performance, I really think we could go to 3.
Well, let's see if we do. Fury's Pick a Bank coming up right now. Will we see the third map after this, or will we see FaZe lift another trophy in the SAL?
An excellent question to be asked as we head our way into map number 2. FaZe Clan has been quite efficient getting through so many of their adversaries here in Brazil. They only dropped 2 games during the regular stage. That was to two very unlikely teams here, Jesse, both Loud and Black Dragons. Then after getting punched down to the lower bracket, it's been a triumphant run. And they're hoping for another 2-0 to match what they did to Loud and Team Liquid Alienware earlier today, but it will involve them for the 3rd time in the playoffs, stealing their opponent's map.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Parker. Of the 8 maps that FaZe Clan have played since falling to the lower bracket, they have been victorious on 7 of them. If they can go 8 for 9, they will be SAL champions here in the winter stage of the South American League. So it's big stakes coming through from FaZe Clan. Furia, the road ahead of them is long, but it's not one that they haven't traveled before. These were the kickoff champions, don't forget, beating Ninjas in Pajamas in the finals back during kickoff. So this team has done what it takes to be the best team in South America, despite the fact that they are so new. Here on Bank, it's an interesting map to go to. FaZe Clan do not play a whole lot of Bank, Parker. They've only shown it once this season. That was against Dark Zero in Salt Lake City, and they got blown out 7-3. So hoping for a better result now against their domestic rivals.
Lawyer obviously was talked about quite a lot by the desk, winning 3 of those 5 rounds on Chalet by himself. But the player who I feel like didn't get enough talk was Diaz, the 2nd highest rated player on this team throughout the entirety of the group stages. And he was really not that far off of Volps for worst rated player in the lobby. Volps, of course, was the worst rated. But if Diaz cannot pick it up, I kind of worry about the fragging potential here. Lawyer, though, starting off with the very first kill of Bank. Excellently played, and he finds a 2nd in his position. Almost a 3rd as well. Chasing these FaZe Clan players off of the top floor. What can't Loira do?
All right, I know how this one ends, Parker. Back on Chalet, Furia won the round if and only if Loira got a multi-kill at some point in the midst of it. Here's the multi-kill early on round number 1 of Bank, so you have to imagine this will spiral out of control. Vidaking is looking to make sure that doesn't happen as he lurks his way back up these main stairs. They have to be able to catch somebody off guard here on the side of FaZe Clan. They know if they just sit in sight for 90 seconds, they will eventually lose, so that's why some aggressive plays are being made by FaZe Clan. They've got good utility still to play with as well if they do manage to play this one on the clock, but Vidaking aggressive on the corner. The Deimos, Herds will hit the head, and it's a 2v5 now for Souls and KDS.
Tricell goes out. All right. 2 kills so far for KDS, making things a little bit easier. They really do not love this position, though, for FaZe. So 1 Nitro Cell is gone. Souls has the 3 gas canisters in pocket. You can delay the time, but not the entirety of the round. It'll have to be KDS to clutch. He's got 2 kills to his name. He just lost Souls, and I believe Souls died with every gas canister in pocket. KDS is a bit vulnerable from the hatches above, but he seems to have an idea of where the last 2 players are coming from. He squares his body away. Oh my goodness. Narrowly avoiding death from the frag grenade dropped by Furia. Down goes Volps. No, he's still alive. He's on the ground. Pistol out. KDS and Dosido around the column. And Loira wins the round. KDS a near clutch, but 3 for Loira Demon. Jesse, are we back on Chalet again, or are my eyes just misleading me?
Parker, I don't think it matters at all what the map is. Loira is on one today, and again, it's a triple kill to start off the map for him. It will be a round win from FURIA to follow it up. Just an incredible performance coming through from Loira, no doubt. One of the best that we have seen from him in his entire career, certainly since joining this FURIA core a couple of months ago. I mean, it's incredible. He's working alone a lot of the time, too. Not that he's necessarily completely by himself, but like he's always coming in at a different angle. In that previous round, most of FURIA were pushing square side. They were pressuring the stock windows, they were walking in square, they had a lot of the attention drawn towards them on that east side of the map. Loira just crept his way in through ATMs, crept his way up those spiral stairs, and got 2 big kills to give them that massive advantage that eventually spiraled out of control. It was really impressive to see Loira pull all that off, and then also to clutch up in the 1v1. Both players a single bullet away from death. I mean, you couldn't have written a better first round to go through from FURIA. It comes down perfectly as the story would have liked. And now they get their first round here on the attack. A good start on Bank.
This team has been really something else today, again, proving why they made their way to the grand finals. The road here was quite short for FURIA, if we're being honest. They took down Ninjas in Pajamas in a 2-1 contest that was a little bit harder than I'm sure they had anticipated, and then a matchup that, as we explained when we saw Team Liquid Alienware in the previous match today, could have really gone either way. FURIA taking a 2-0 victory in the upper bracket finals, 8-6, 8-7. One round, a couple kills go T-Law's way, and it's Team Liquid in the grand finals, not FURIA. Oh boy, what that would have potentially meant for the lower bracket run that FaZe Clan has been on. But FURIA only needed 5 maps to get to this point. FaZe Clan playing a lot more than that. You mentioned that earlier on, and well, FaZe don't love Bank that much. That means it's very likely that we will end up going all 3 maps, and well, that'll be Clubhouse. That was the map that FaZe beat FURIA on 7-5 during the regular stage.
FURIA have played Bank 3 times since forming as a team, and they have never lost a top floor attack. They are 5-0 attacking this bomb site. Have an opportunity to push that over to 6. They know that Cyber's down below. They'll go for a track with Loira here on the demo, spotting out that yokai cam, so information goes both ways. Cyber, surely he doesn't peek this and give Loira a chance. He's going to just waste this time, hopefully stall things out, and indeed bait for his teammates. That's exactly what he needed. He gets the finish off as his teammate got the frag from up above.
Tricky for FURIA to win a round with Loira not having really any impact whatsoever, but again, we will cite these numbers. Herds and Diaz were the 2 best rated players on the side of FURIA. Herds almost turning back the clock as he found himself in the top 10. Diaz just outside of it for players rated in this stage. I know it's been the Loira show today, but he's not been the guy through this entire stage that they've relied upon, so maybe a bit of overperformance from Loira is buying time for the usual suspects to get a little bit more comfortable. Box arrow with one. Volps, one of his own. Volps in particular can dominate a round too. He's just had a bit of a quiet day. Herds on the board, so everybody trading kills on the side of FURIA except for Diaz. He needs to find one, as he's the only one on his side without one to this point. Cyber on FaZe Clan also without a kill. Final 30 seconds and a bit of a pause here, Jesse, as there's 2 gas canisters in pocket for Vita King. Souls is completely unaware of the angle. Box Era taking full advantage of that. All the Jegio payloads still in pocket for Diaz as Vita King hits one onto Herds, immediately pivots towards the bomb site. Box Era holding the defuse kit. Diaz to cover, but Box Era says, how about kills instead of objectives? I just need to find one more of you, and find him he will. A 2-0 start for FURIA.
Well, for the first time today, Parker, FURIA will win a round without Loira needing to contribute to the kills, and instead it's Boxdera who steps up, the youngest player in the South American League. He opens that up by finding the pick onto Cyber, the oldest player in the South American League, who is playing on that Solus down below the bomb site. After Bot got that first frag, he's able to regroup with his teammates up on the top floor. They push through that square side. They get the picks they were looking for in and around that bomb site. It's clear FaZe Clan wanted to play a very objective-focused utility style of gameplay there, but FURIA just did not give them the chance. They had so many good ways to deny the plant. The Solus down below, the Echo up above, C4s being held by Handy and potentially Souls, although I think he had barbed wire on the Bandit instead, the Toxic Babes. everything they could have wanted to deny a plant, but it never came. Furia just played guns up. They shred through the bomb site with really good angles after opening all the walls that they possibly could, and they get away with a victory because of it. 2-0 now here on Bank. If FaZe Clan want to 2-0 this, they really need to start winning defense rounds. They cannot afford to let this game slip away.
Undeniably correct. Bank's a really, really big map in the map pool. I know that we spent a lot of time talking about Midhaven Labs and Clubhouse and yada, 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 and Layer for crying out loud, but people do often forget just how large of a map Bank is, and it can make it really tricky to defend, especially with all the tools that the attackers have right now. You've got a lot of drones, you've got a lot of operators that can bring drones, you've got a lot of intel operators, you've got a lot of great guns on attack right now, and another terrific operator on attack just got buffed too, which is the Zofia. Bank has seen very little play here inside of Brazil. Don't really have a lot of data on it. Admittedly, only 34 rounds have been played up to this point. It is an attacker-sided map, that is certain. The only bomb site that is favorable for the defenders is down below the other two sites, which is the top floor, which is lounge and office, and then open area, as we have yet to see at Teller's Archives, are both quite decidedly in favor of the attackers. So Furia have already done the toughest job, Jesse. That's win the bottom floor bomb site. It should be easier from this point on until FaZe Clan decides to go back down to locker CCTV.
Yeah, it makes it all the more devastating that FaZe Clan didn't win that very first round when we saw Laura get that triple kill. So now, not choosing to go back to it in the first quarter, they will only get one opportunity to win it there in the second quarter, but Cyber starts us off nicely with an opening pick on the Herds. He finds the Blackbeard. He gets traded, he dies for it, but there's a hugely impactful pick from Cyber coming through. You take down the tip of that spear. Volps is essentially in the bomb site, by the way. He's made his way into Printer, past the footholds that is playing around this reinforcement. His teammate drops in and gets a pick on a Souls. This is a fast round, Parker, as they're already in the site.
And Vidaking somehow escapes, but Volps will sit him down. Furia looking for a 3-0 start, causing dissension in the ranks of FaZe Clan, and I have no doubt that FaZe will call a timeout if they end up going down 0-3, but they've got themselves a golden opportunity as Boxera is the last one left. Bok now walking his way towards the bomb site. FaZe Clan are sitting here. Is Volps retrievable? Boxera has to give himself away, and with it, one of these defenders from FaZe Clan right now, KDS, sitting and waiting, could capitalize off of this. He knows exactly what's happening. Great play by Boxera. Handy will need to save the day, and he will do just that. They called for a miracle, and he appeared as a Mozzie by the bomb chassis. FaZe Clan finally on the board.
Really cool push from Furia, despite the fact that it doesn't work out, Parker. I still could see attack timeout coming through just based on how that round ended for FaZe Clan, but they at least walk away with the point. They'll keep this game close and competitive, 2-1 as the scoreline. That rush from Furia, they had Herds immediately enter stock and drop down the hatch into open area. That's where he died as the opening death. Volps then jumping in the Printer window at the exact same time. It was clear that Furia wanted to hit that site hard and fast, and while they were successful, a couple of the players went down. They bled a few too many bodies in the midst of that execute, and those players that weren't involved in the initial scuffle on the side of FaZe Clan were able to come back, have really big value. Handy and KDS, of course, able to make sure that they can clutch up in that 2v3 situation. So really good stuff coming out from FaZe Clan to save it. They will not use their tack timeout, despite how close this was to being a 3-0 in favor of Furia. Instead, they'll go back down to the bomb site, the most favorable site for the defenders, hoping to tie this game.
This is really where it is. I said it last round. This is the only bomb site that tends to have a favorable win rate across all regions for these defending teams. It really does come down to how you go about this bottom floor bomb site, though. Because it's a big map, it's not uncommon to see teams roaming up on the top floor. You can also completely seal off all of those hatches and bunker down in the basement bomb site. Stylistically, you can play a full anchor setup and maybe have one roamer, but force them on the attacking side to bring hard breach. Or you can do what FaZe Clan is doing, which is open up all of these hatches, try to waste as much time as possible, usually about 45 seconds to 90 seconds into the round, and if you're lucky, get a pick or two when the attackers go for open area. But just as we say that about the defenders, you can also completely forego open area, go for a direct site hit, take lobby, take elevator, take escape tunnel, and force the defenders to drop through the hatches that they've opened up themselves. It's a really nice call and response of a bomb site, and it frankly can be played so many ways by both sides that it's always fascinating to watch.
I like Volps on this Nook, Parker. This is an operator we don't see very often at all in Siege, but Bank is definitely one of her best maps because there is that garage entrance where you can really make a sneaky entrance into the bomb site. That's what Volps has just done. He's going to be pushing that garage side while the rest of his team works on clearing some of these roamers. Bit of an information being gathered here by the Snake. I believe this might be a guy on a mute jammer. In fact, it certainly is. So they've got to be able to find souls here inside a staff room, but instead, it's their players who are hitting the floor. Handy and Cyber get one apiece. It's 2 shields dead on the attacking side, and they're going to have to really rethink this push now.
And now you have to walk into open area with limited information, limited utility. Volps will catch KDS, and he's in the site, by the way, and Nook going through garage straight for the throat of this defending core. And that's exactly what FURIA has done with Volps in this position. Diaz and Loira will either need to wait out Volps' position or very hurriedly get into the site to assist him. Diffuse kit in the hands of Diaz, who after a disappointing first map has yet to find a kill here on Bank, though he is playing a much harder support role, so he's not being tasked with getting the kills the way that you'd expect. FURIA is fierce, full site control right now, Jesse, and with a minute to go, they are going to attempt to get the plant down.
No information at all on this, Parker, but it's not successful. Diaz pulls off at the last second. I think he could have finished it, but thought he was getting pushed, so now they've got to recommit the full 7 seconds. That might have been a mistake from Diaz.
I think if he'd stuck it, that would have been a golden opportunity, but frankly, they just didn't have the information. Diaz gets 1 pick. It's his first. He'll square his body up to the B-bomb chassis. He's aware FaZe having a player over by Vault. It'll be him and Cyber in a 1v1. Loira goes down. He sees the tracers go through the wall, but Diaz is not able to capitalize. Cyber and Handy will fight for the last kill, and it's Handy again. The hero for FaZe Clan saying, guys, I do not want a map 3. And boy, oh boy, is he making his dreams a reality. Tie game as we head into round 5.
Handy just feels like he's playing at the peak of his career, Parker. You go back to that second map against Team Liquid on Saturday. He drops 14 kills and is the MVP on Border to give FaZe Clan the win. Then you look back at not even on Saturday, sorry, a couple hours ago. And then you go to this game against FURIA. You go to Chalet. He drops 12 kills and is the MVP for FaZe Clan to get them the win there as well. He is now just 4 kills away from breaking double digits for the 3rd straight map. Handy has been so impactful for his team here, and especially on these roam games, right? He's been really good at shutting down some of these off-angle pushes that FURIA really love to play with. In that previous round, we didn't really catch it on the camera, but Herds was solo pushing ATMs on the Blackbeard, and he ended up dying to Handy as the 2nd overall frag in the round. Again, not really focused, not really around where we were focused, but like getting that pick onto Herds, trying to absolutely, and then those late, of course, so important as well. Now FaZe Clan have tied up the game, and FURIA, a little surprised to see the TAC timeout coming this early, Parker. They're still not in a bad situation, but maybe something in the comms or something in the mental is starting to spiral out of controls that Reduct wants to fix.
I mean, FaZe Clan called their timeout when they were winning against T-Law, for crying out loud. So lots of times teams will call timeouts based on things that we don't know. One of the things that we often do reference is that coaches can hear team comms and coaches can see all perspectives and vantages of their players, whereas the leaders might not. So maybe something is slipping through the fingers of Volps, and he's not particularly seeing it on the side of FURIA, but
10 seconds to go.
the coaching staff is. Or maybe they're starting to fight. Maybe there's some frustration there. Again, one of the things that seemed to plague this FURIA team and was touched upon by other players in Brazil was that there was maybe a bit of interpersonal difficulties in Salt Lake City, maybe too many cooks in a kitchen. Maybe that's happening again. Nice shot by Diaz. And the man who saved the previous couple rounds for FaZe Clan is no more. Handy outdueled as he was going fishing for a spawn peek with the DMR, and he is swiftly shut down by a DMR on the side of FURIA.
That's kind of brutal as well, because now Diaz can hack that phone, and that's going to give away all the positions of these yokai drones being piloted by KDS. So that's a lot of information that'll be given towards the attackers after that opening spawn peak comes through. Of course, with new Dokkaebi rework, you don't keep that information permanently, but even still, if it allows you to clear out some of these yokai cams, that's a hugely valuable pick to come through from the guys on FURIA. They did win this bomb site last time they came here, so I can understand FaZe Clan just trying to spice it up, trying to make some kind of a difference so that they can get a better chance at winning this round, but now Vidiking goes down to the window angle as well, and it just feels like it's falling apart once again on the top floor.
And after mounting an impressive comeback, FaZe Clan falling off. Oh well, but again, this top floor bomb site is usually prime opportunity for the attackers to get the upper hand with these defenders. All the window play, they can paralyze you from the lobby as well, and you have very limited moves as a defender. This is also a bomb site that tends to favor those with long range weaponry, which of course is always going to be in the wheelhouse of the attackers. Souls is doing his best to keep these players at bay, particularly from the ATM side, and he loses his phone as Diaz had used one of those payloads. Still 4 in pocket. Fire as well there for Volp, so he can paralyze even more of this bomb site. I really like what FURIA has going for them.
Yeah, this is a great round coming out so far. They've got a lot of utility to enable this plant as well. The Capitao, the one new operator they brought to this push, he can use these fire bolts and smoke bolts to enable a plant. Early death from KDS, finally one back from Cyber, but he has to do so much more. Good information here on Loira, but can he win the gunfight with another player lurking down the hallway? Gets 2, looking for the 3rd.
Oh! Time ran out, Jesse, and also, well, most importantly, bullets ran out. I think that was the bigger issue there, was just, you know, it is a bullet hose, that Scorpion, but sometimes you've got to reload. FURIA able to take 3 rounds. They are not guaranteed a victory here just yet on the first half. They have one more round to secure a 4th and put FaZe Clan in a tough position where FaZe will have to do the same on attack in order to propel us to overtime. This is FURIA's map. They should absolutely be the better team just based on that. But again, FaZe Clan is always a different beast. Attackers do have a better shot on this map. Despite the low numbers, the attackers tend to excel. FURIA is obviously on that side. So the fact that FaZe Clan opted to start on defense makes me wonder if their attacking half is going to be quite poor. I mean, why not start on the side that statistically is better unless you feel that you are just not up to snuff on that one? If that's the case, this could be FURIA running away with it. But of course, that's just idle speculation. All told, they've relied a lot less on Loira for this map. It's been a far more of a team effort, and FURIA are flourishing because of it.
Just going back to that game that they played against Dark Zero on Bank, Parker, and they did choose to start on the attack that time versus DZ. They got a 3-3 split and then lost every single defense round against Dark Zero. So clearly something has changed for this team. They're feeling like that defensive side might be a little bit better by choosing to start here, and if they can get a 3-3 split, it's not bad at all, because they've shown in the past that they can have good attacks on Bank, even against one of the best teams in the world as Dark Zero. So we'll see what FaZe Clan look like. We don't have to speculate for too long, as they'll be attacking soon enough. For now, they're just trying to get to that point in a tied game rather than down by 2. Back over to the open area bomb site. This is the one that they were successful last time, but it was a weird rush play by FURIA where they tried to drop down through that stock hatch as soon as possible. This time, it looks like the push is a little bit more standard. They're going to work their way through these top floor players, force these roamers back towards the site, and then eventually go for an execute a little bit later in the round.
I'm glad to see the DMR, this new DMR, one of the newer guns added to the game, getting some love from these players. I know that we are still very much heavily in a DMR favored meta, even with the F2's resurgence, and to their credit, Ubisoft buffing a slew of other guns. But that new DMR, I feel like, is slept on from the broader community, at least if the games that I play are any indication. I think DMRs in general are something where it can be hard to control after that first recoil. Maybe players just like the fact that a higher rate of fire will land a headshot more, but obviously do some serious damage. And of course, DMRs are great for maps like Bank, where again, long range, bullet drop off, not as bad as it is for an AR. You can open up hatches and floors easier. It's a great choice here. So again, I can see why FURIA is doing that. I'm assuming Volps is using the F2. I don't know what gun you've seen, but no, he's got the 417. Okay.
Again, sometimes just for those longer range gunfights, the 417 is the better choice.
Yeah.
Already through this hatch, you've got a little bit of messiness coming through. Loira hoping to be able to work himself an opening pick, but he didn't actually find it in the midst of that. And now his position is known, cleaned up by Vidiking as he goes down those stairs to find the first frag of this round. 60 seconds left.
5-4 for Loira. Those will be his stats to hang on to through the first half. He's been very good through both of these maps today. Now we'll rely on the rest of the team to get the job done. Herds attempting the defuse plant, shut down by Cyber. No coverage there from Furia to deny the Nitro cell as Volps is outside of the printer window, circling and fishing for a kill that is yet to materialize. Boxera now picking up the defuse kit and will attempt it all on his lonesome. There are still 2 more Nitro cells that can be done, but Vidiking has full coverage of the hatch above. Volps standing there. There must have been a plan that Furia had, but Volps is not a part of it. It allows this FaZe Clan team to be so nestled above. KDS goes down. DS finds 2, but they are completely impactless as Volps is right back to where he started, outside a printer window. FaZe Clan win the round on time, and it's 3-3 for the first half.
And for the first time today, Ollie, it feels like FaZe not fully in control of their series. Obviously, Furia with the lead going into round 6. It might be a tie half, but these rounds have been close, but a slight edge toward Furia.
Yeah, I think you could argue for both sides, couldn't you? Furia, because they're on the attack, they've done a really good job in those rounds. FaZe, again, some really good recovery rounds, but it hangs in a fine margin at the moment. You wouldn't know that FaZe had just won the round there, looking at the player cams as we end the round. We've got a little bit of an insight here as to just how Furia are opting to try and play some of these rounds. This was round number 4 where we got Volps in super deep very early on, and the attackers very quickly became the defenders and vice versa. And I think this is just gap spotting from Furia and trying to leverage those gaps that FaZe are leaving open in some of these defenses. It didn't work out for them, admittedly, but there was an opportunity for it to. Now, you could look at this from both sides and you can go, well, on the one hand, are Furia sort of skipping a few steps that they maybe need to check off their list before getting themselves into this position? Quite possibly. But again, are FaZe leaving those gaps to be taken, and is there a chance you can come away with a round win? Absolutely. It just so happened that FaZe were good in the heat of the moment here. But overall, the first half, I'm very enthused for the series because it does feel as though Furia are back in this fight, although still with big performances out of KDS, Handy, and Vidiking. I mean, KDS starting to join onto that fray of players that have had a multi-kill on the side of FaZe so far. So it really is anybody's.
And of course, in this round, again, talking about small mistakes, you have, both shields being lost early. You have other times where the intel ops aren't having quite as the effect they would like. It's a lot more smaller moments that are causing problems for both teams rather than any broader problem like we saw in the T-Law game where the attack seemed consistently out of sync and FaZe were consistently able to exploit it. And so as we go into the second half, FaZe moving more to the attack. We often talk about on Bank that the attack has a bit more room to breathe on this map, that the defense, even if they end up contesting a bit more control, has to kind of walk a fine line between extending too far and creating gaps on what is a very large map, or not defending enough and giving the attack basically the entirety to work with, say, on a basement defense. Obviously, Ollie, FaZe, we normally don't think will make those kinds of mistakes, but this is one of their least favorite maps, or one of their lesser favorite maps in the pool. If any territory is uncomfortable, it'd be this one.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I think, looking at the bans here, you can see that there is a little bit of trepidation here by FaZe. They've chosen to actually remove the Wamai, so a load of utility now available for these defenses to play with. The attacking bans, I think, are a little bit better here as well. A target onto the Monty and a target onto the Hard Breach. Really trying to dial down on some of that kit that FaZe is going to want to try and bring.
Well, it's another 3-3 half like it was on Chalet. We'll see if it's FaZe's 4th W in a row. Potentially the final map of the grand final right now.
FaZe Clan 4 rounds away from closing this one out. Furia the same distance from map 3. Clubhouse will be the decider if we need it, but until then, all eyes are focused here on Bank in sunny Los Angeles, California. Furia on this defensive side, Parker, we've talked about it. They might not be favored overall, but the thing about Bank is this bottom floor bomb site is usually so good for the defenders that it should realistically be a guaranteed 2 rounds for the defense. And then they just have to squeak a round out here or there on one of these other couple of sites to tie the game.
Yeah, I mean, definitely within reach at this current point in time. And really appreciate Lynx and X also providing some context to what we saw. Jesse, we're looking at Clubhouse's map number 3. I'm eager to get there because I want to see if Furia have learned and grown from when they did battle against FaZe during the regular stage. Yep. I know that will disappoint FaZe fans because they want this one to be over, but I mean, hey, we don't cheer for any team. We cheer for the theatrics and we cheer for the fun. It's always fun going to a third map.
Well, what's also fun is 2.5 minutes of no kills, because that's probably what we're going to get here on this full bunker setup of Furia. Unlike FaZe Clan, they have chosen to bring 0 roamers to this, and instead they've brought Tachanka, they've brought the Smoke, they've brought the Goyo, they've brought the Aruni, everything they could possibly have to slow down this round and win it based on time has been brought. Here comes the Aruni trick, most likely. No, they'll get the hatch open anyways, so usually you'll see that gate activate. They might have burned it already at that point, but I think the Goyo canister was on it, so maybe just misplaced a little bit as the thermite charge was able to go on. In any case, this is going to be FaZe Clan speeding things up a little bit here on the top floor clear, deciding now if they want to pop this Goyo canister. It's always going to come down to the utility, right? Burning out this clock, taking your time with it. And it looks like, again, they're going to just get past this Aruni-Goyo combination and get the hatch open with that thermite charge. That's a bit of missed utility play by Furia.
Really good pacing there as well by FaZe Clan. There are very few obstacles that I think FaZe would be caught off guard by, Jesse. I think that there's some small things that need to be changed, but very rarely do we see this FaZe Clan get bogged down by anything, and their ability to maneuver around 2 operators worth of gadgetry, really quite commendable here. Oxera's got to be a little bit careful about his rump as he looked to back his way into the hatch that had been opened up. Instead, he presents himself to Souls, and the first kill will go in way of FaZe Clan. What'd you say? 2 minutes and 15 seconds until the first kill would come in? By Jove! You've got it.
Pretty close here. We've got still 35 seconds on the clock, Parker. My worry is all this utility. Even with a man count advantage, I don't think this favors the attackers.
I don't like it either as they wander into their undoing. A drop and everybody dies. The kill feed, a beautiful shade of blue as Furia take the lead and will take the first round of the second half.
Really nicely done to come through on that defense again, just anchoring up, knowing that there's going to be so much time waste. It was weird with those Aruni gates. Again, they were blocked off by the Goyos, but they did activate after the hatch opened, so you kind of had to waste time, wait for those Goyos to finish burning after the hatch blows up. Then you've got to clear out the Surya gate. It was definitely a good time-wasting maneuver to come through there by Furia, even if it didn't directly burn that hard breach that they might have been hoping for. But that's totally okay. They're still able to play the clock, and at the end of the day, bank basement. The clock is the most important thing. So Furia play around it really nicely. They get themselves that win down to the basement, and now the hard part here on the defensive bank really begins.
Well, the hard part's gonna be playing because Herds just crashed, and I think we're gonna have a rehost, Jesse, but.
Well, that does make it extra hard to win rounds. If you
I think it's a little challenging when you're down a player. I don't know about you. On your screen is the head-to-head results between these organizations. And again, Furia is not the same team it was 6 months ago when they played the Six Invitational. They did it with a completely different lineup. It was the majority of which are now with Team Liquid Alienware. Herd's the only remaining member on your screen. You see Loira, who's in his Furia jersey, but for many players, you will know him best for his time on G2. Unsurprisingly, FaZe Clan has a positive win rate against just about every organization in Brazil. So no matter what team they're playing against, every time we show this head-to-head graphic, even the most casual observers are going to look at it and go, "Oh, wow, FaZe Clan's pretty good there."
Yeah, and if you want to isolate just to this roster of Furia, these teams have only met once. They were in different groups back during kickoff. They didn't meet in the kickoff playoffs. They didn't meet in Salt Lake City. The only time they played was that best of one in stage one. And of course, as you've mentioned, Parker, 7-5 on Clubhouse was the result favoring FaZe Clan. So technically, they've never lost to this team in their current iteration or anything close to their current iteration, but very low sample size and a very close game the one time that they played against each other. So it really is kind of an open book, a big question mark as to where these two teams do lie in respect to one another. FaZe Clan, again, have the history, they have the experience, they have the veterans, but the Furia core that was assembled a few months ago and now make up the team that they have today is so scary. The individual talent they have is just ridiculous. It's always kind of been a question of, can they put it together, right? Can they make these 5 pieces work as a unit? Couldn't do that in Salt Lake City. We'll hope to do it once again in Paris and domestically again. Finding lots of success so far, but this would really be their biggest domestic result for sure.
Undeniably so. And again, looking to avenge their result in Salt Lake City. They were by far and away the worst team out of Brazil, one of the worst teams in the world at that event. And the sky was the limit for the FURIA squad, right? If you looked at a lot of smart people's picks, they had FURIA finishing top 4. It was largely just based off of, I suppose, the vibes of these players. You got Herds. He's a world champion. You got Loira, consistently one of the best fraggers in Europe and on G2, playing really tough minutes against some of the best gunners in the world. Volps has been good on just about every single team that he's played on, both as a leader and as a fragger. Diaz was a bit of an interesting choice, I think, for a lot of the more casual audience, especially North American fans who got to see him on a lot of those quote-unquote friendship rosters, as they were referred to as. But Diaz has inarguably been one of the best players on this FURIA team. And then, of course, Boxera was a player that everybody was looking at as a prospect and thinking that this guy could be the next Fantasy. This guy could be the next, JV92 sort of deal. So the way that they handled kickoff and the results that they had, people were saying, FURIA is going to make a deep run. So for them to be one of the first teams to go home at Salt Lake City was quite devastating, and they've definitely turned things around. Whatever the reason may be, they are in the grand finals. They are bringing the heat to FaZe Clan. They have the lead, and there is a high likelihood that we see a third map, which will be a best of one showdown on the exact same map these teams played each other on just a couple weeks ago.
Well, we do appreciate your patience. It looks like everything has been sorted out down in South America, so we are getting back into the game now. FURIA lead FaZe Clan 4-3. I'm glad you brought up Boxera, Parker. I feel like that's a name that English audiences aren't familiar enough with just yet. There were a lot of talks about him being Rookie of the Year last year, and if Stompin hadn't made his debut, I think no doubt Boxera would have been Rookie of the Year last year. Technically, he played in the Hispanic League back in 2024 for one stage, so maybe not actually a rookie, but I think close enough that people would have gave it to him. Played on that ENX core that didn't do really anything down in South America, didn't make it to any of those international events, but Boxera was still able to stand out among the rest and really showcase himself as a top prospect here in South America. Now on FURIA, on this new core, he's made it to an international event before, was playing in Salt Lake City, hopes to do so again in Paris, and should, barring any crazy visa situations. Now making his debut here in the season, hoping to become a champion of Stage 1. Back to the top floor. This is supposed to be what's so difficult for FURIA. This is supposed to be where it becomes so tricky to defend. FaZe Clan were unsuccessful on this bomb site the first time they came here, so what's the change-up going to be? Well, you're bringing this mirror window from Volps. You're not relying as much on stuff as like the Echo. You're going to try to play with these Goyo cans to slow things down, and lots of window denial. Both Herds and Boxera playing the Azami Castle setup. I like that.
I have to imagine that was Cyber's pistol as he was just shooting away 30 seconds in. Yeah, it absolutely was. Very quickly trying to pick away at some of these defenses that FURIA has set up on the double panel window outside on Repel. Our speculation as to why FaZe Clan opted to start on defense, which statistically speaking is the weaker side at this current point in time on this map in Brazil, is because FaZe Clan would struggle with their attacks. First attack was a big struggle. I think that's fair to say, Jesse. Their pacing was a little off. They didn't look like they felt very comfortable based on information. And then when they had to go for those death drops at the final second, FURIA they were dialed in and they rebuffed them. They handled them, took them out, threw them out. So here, as we hit the halfway round, FaZe Clan largely still just outside of the building, and a lot of them are angling for a kill, but FURIA is not taking it. FURIA is not taking a lot of early engagements. Loira will, as Cyber gets tossed out of the building. Herds dies at the hands of Souls, so the teams do eventually find opportunities to go for mutual strikes, and nobody ends up coming out a little bit better off. KDS now, as he emerges from that lobby towards the top of the stairs, he's got a read, but the flames are keeping him at bay, and he does need to be worried about the control that's had inside of President here.
KDS really being stopped at the top of these spiral stairs. He's out of utility, Parker. He can't find any more of these positions, but he already knows where most of these players are at the same time, his teammates are trying to assist by jumping in the windows, but they're getting cut down by Boxzera. Loira hits a brilliant shot to get his second kill of the round, and now Handy and Vidiking, the only ones still alive, to try to break into this site.
It's just a lockout, right? Loira with a triple kill. How many multi-kill rounds does he have now? Jesse says 5 so far in the series. A really sensational day for Loira Demon. And it's going to leave the King outside hanging on Repel. I have to imagine he's calling his own timeout here, as FaZe Clan still has one in pocket. So if they need to, they can talk to their coach. Ever since FURIA called their timeout, things have trended upwards. So for whatever particular reason that FURIA called it, it's been working out in spades. Vidiking will give them nothing, and FURIA doesn't need to do too much, as they will just let the timer elapse. Nitro Cell goes out, and it's about a second too late. Vidiking survives. FaZe Clan do not. FURIA 5-3, and they are screaming their way through their own map.
I felt like they had all the tools they needed on the side of FaZe Clan, Parker. They had really good util to clear out what was being brought by the defenders. They had the Twitch to try to break through some of those mirror windows and Goyo canisters, of course. They had the Ashe plus the Zofia to try to make their way past some of those castle barricades and mirror windows as well. Like, they had really good tools coming into it, but it just felt like their push was really well read by FURIA. That push up the spiral stairs was an absolute nightmare. They were never able to get the cancel wall open because, of course, the Habana was banned out and the Ace just wasn't being brought. That's something where you kind of look back and you think, man, if only we had maybe one of those ranged hard breachers. It wasn't banned, so why not bring it through? It wasn't decided to by FaZe Clan, and I think they kind of got punished because of it. It made clearing that top floor lobby side really, really difficult. Just seeing players peek out of so many different positions. And FURIA now in a dominating position, 5-3. They will force attack timeout out of FaZe Clan. As we go to the tertiary bomb site, it feels like this is do or die for FaZe. They have to be able to win around here. Going 3 straight as your opponent can just play any bomb site they want is complete misery on Bank.
It's been total domination on this second half of the field. So for FURIA, they're winning these rounds, but they are doing so without really needing to sweat too much. This has been a pretty easy second half. FURIA might as well be lying on the beaches sipping their beverages right now, even though I do understand it's technically winter in the southern hemisphere. Forgive me for that one. Some people heard you earlier say something about winter in Brazil, and I'm sure they were like, what the hell are you talking about?
It's the winter stage down there.
Yeah, it's the hemispheres are different. It's summer up here in North America, and it's amazingly still winter in Edmonton, but that's year round. So but yeah, I mean, the FaZe Clan have looked, quite frankly, quite terrible over the last 2 rounds. This is a very good map for FURIA. This is a map that FaZe do not play all that well, and while FaZe definitely does have a deep map pool, they do not have a 9-map map pool. I don't think really any team at this current point in time would show the same prowess on all 9 maps. So if you go into a best of 3, especially a grand final, the assumption is always that your opponent will win their own map. That is a safe assumption at this current point in time. FaZe Clan got the job done back on Chalet, but FURIA made them bleed. FaZe Clan on the second half are still in a position where they need to make FURIA bleed, or else the Panthers will run away with this.
This is the moment to change our minds. This is the moment to make us believers for FaZe Clan that they can steal their opponent's pick and go 2-0 here in the grand finals. Of course, this bomb site downside in open area, trying to make sure that they can extend up above. They've got 3 players up there, Boxzera, Herds, and Loira, committing to the roam game up above the bomb site. I don't see any fast shenanigans happening from FaZe Clan like we saw from FURIA back this. Never mind, here comes Vidiking straight into that as he's opened up by Cyber.
Aid will go off. Razor Bloom in the corner. This is a rough spot for Vidiking to be in. Fire extinguisher blows up in front of him, so no visibility. Does give a window of opportunity for FURIA to reposition should they want. They opt not to do it. Down goes Handy to Boxzera. The UMP pitter patter. Let's get at her, and down goes the first player from FaZe. Loira losing a lot of HP as well, but he's still upright. Loira's been so good. If he can survive till the dying moments of the round, FURIA's odds of winning skyrocket.
Vidiking desperately wants to get in for a plant, Parker, but he just can't. The shield doesn't cover enough of him. He'd love to be on the Monty, but instead the Blackbeard is the only tool he has thanks to the bans. Nice shot by Cyber, but not nice enough. Unable to find Volps inside of Archives, so they're really just at a standstill. They have to be able to work a pick before they can go for this push.
Player dropped 13 kills all the way back on Chalet after the rehost. Much harder for us to assess here, but I believe he's broken double digits at this current point in time. If not, he's really, really close. He might have just done it there. As he and Diaz find two. FaZe have only been able to muster a single kill in this round. This is a death march for this FaZe team. Volp's the only one they've been able to find. FURIA will now compete for this final kill as KDS unsheaths the super shorty. It can still pack quite a punch. Diaz and Lawyer will figure that one out, but he is on borrowed time, and Boxera will ask for it back. FURIA, map point.
It's a disaster on these pushes, Parker. FaZe Clan, they want to go for a fast play. They want to get in with the Blackbeard as soon as they can, but they stall out. And then what happens? They just sit there for 2 minutes outside of the bomb site, bottom of square, hoping that something will open up for them, hoping that they will work a pick somewhere. But body after body just falls for the attackers. They're never able to get themselves an advantage. KDS has some fun at the end there with the super shorty, but he really has no hope of clutching out that 1v4. FURIA just so dominant in that position. They read where the push is coming from. The push never really changes. It continues to just hammer at one location over and over again, and eventually FURIA find ways to flank around. They find ways to pick off players. They don't let FaZe Clan in on the one direction that they're trying to push through, and it just feels like these defenses are easy for FURIA. They make it look so simple. Obviously, it's not. They're playing incredibly well on this defensive side, but almost feels like there's nothing FaZe Clan can do at this point. Their pushes on Bank are not up to snuff, and FURIA feel like the better team on this map.
Been in full control this entire time, and every single attempt by FaZe Clan has ultimately failed to work out. I mean, the numbers for FaZe are just so bad at present point in time. By my count, again, really tough to go by because of the rehosts. I don't believe there is a single person on FaZe Clan who at this moment is positive. Handy is the closest, and he's had some good showings, especially in the early portion of this map, but that feels like ages ago. FaZe Clan perfectly capable of bleeding. FURIA has hurt them on every single bomb site, on attack, and on defense, and huge credit to this team. What a turnaround it's been, and so far FURIA looking like the better team in this best of three with how they were able to give the gears to FaZe on Chalet.
Handy still sits at 6 kills overall. He has not been impactful these last couple rounds. We mentioned when he hit 6 kills that the last 2 maps he's played, he's broken double digits, 14 and then 12 kills. To fall back down to 6 now has certainly been a fall from grace. We have to see him get active here in the 4th quarter. FaZe Clan needing to be perfect through 3 straight attacks now if they want to win it in 2. Otherwise, Clubhouse, nearly a guarantee. We will again have probably a slower map. Still some players, but no, it looks like everybody will fall down those staircases, get back down towards the basement. Really passive on these bottom floor holds from FURIA, and it worked well for them the last time because they stalled out so much of the clock before the execute came through. They will play a very similar style of defense where they just let FaZe Clan take these top 2 floors more or less for free, but the site is filled with utility. Nitrous Zera, fire from the Tachanka of DS. Still a little bit less utility, I guess, on these other players, but being able to hunker down behind Dread Mines, behind Jaeger ADSs, behind Thorn Traps, it's still going to be really hard to go for an execute for FaZe Clan.
This first kill is going to be so impactful here, Jesse. If it starts off with the way FURIA has been doing for the entirety of this map, that is very likely curtains on what we've seen here on Bank. FaZe Clan can still turn this one around, but it's looking more and more likely that a 3rd map will be the place for it. It's kind of funny because the underlying numbers actually favor FaZe to get these opening first picks. It's just their conversion has been quite poor. Yeah. They can find a foothold, but that's about all they can get. The rest of the way, it's FURIA dominating them. The King searching for kill number 1. He and the Deimos of Cyber side by side now as we hit the final minute.
Picks are not going to come for a very long time, of course. Down to 45 here. To find some way to break through a capital used by just hasn't been enough, especially with all the utility that's being held on the side of FURIA.
KDS now inside of the elevator. Vidiking first kill, but it's going to get real messy real fast. Volt's bleeding out too. This is the best opportunity for FaZe Clan to pick up a round. They've lost KDS. Diffuse kit getting planted by Souls. Vidiking off the ground. He's gone. Cyber now dropped too. Souls' only coverage is Handy, who's going for the long run around. They will get the diffuse kit down. FURIA doubling up on FaZe, providing they can get full Volts back as he bleeds out. What can you muster in this post plant? FURIA have not relinquished control of this main floor. That is a rough go of it for FaZe Clan. Time, of course, in essence. FURIA need to be quick with this one. Down goes Herds. Volps picked back up, so it's 3v2. FaZe shutting them down. Handy will need to clutch out. Onto the diffuse kit. Volps will go. How good is Diaz at keeping this one in it? Oh my goodness! Not good enough. And with a hair, does he get the diffuse? He gets it! Oh my goodness! What a way for FURIA to win the round, win the map, and we are going to Clubhouse! My God, Jesse!
Hasn't been the whole picture. There's been a team backing it up here today. So I don't know. It's either teams for me, Lynx. I really can't decide.
Well, either way, best of one. It seems like it's 50-50 going into Clubhouse. One of the most default maps, one of the best matches in the SAL. We'll see what Parker and Jesse have to call.
Thank you so very much. The score has to be settled between these two teams. Two of the most well-known organizations in all of our esport. Oh boy, and FURIA, huge in Brazil. FaZe, huge the world over, but starting to get their own set of fans in Brazil, just starting, after 3 SI finishes in a row. Jesse, they're a young upstart team, and they're really going to be taking it to the org that everybody knows. No, I mean, FaZe Clan have to be the favorites in this best of 3, but FURIA's played spoiler before, and they've been the better team so far through these 2 maps. How does it fare on Clubhouse?
There's no doubt about it, Parker. FaZe Clan have been the best team South America has ever produced. They have been so good over the last couple of years, so dominant. They've not made a single roster move in over 3 years. But now it feels like things are starting to change. While FaZe Clan are the favorites, FURIA are the future. And they have been getting ready to take on these giants ever since they formed as a team. They have never in their history, since forming at the start of the season, taken down FaZe Clan, losing 7-5 the one time they met back during the group stage on this very map. How poetic would it be to take them down for the first time, a rematch on Clubhouse in the grand finals of Stage 1 domestic here in South America? Obviously, their initial debut internationally was Salt Lake City, but it was an event to forget, and it feels like Esports World Cup will be the first real showcase of FURIA on an international level. They would love to go there as the SAL champs.
Absolutely. All the EWC qualified teams were shown on our broadcast earlier today and have been shown a number of times as the stage is set, play-ins locked in as well. Los, the team from this region that will have to compete through play-ins, just as they did in the same position back in Salt Lake City. 2 teams, in fact, from Salt Lake City will have to compete in play-ins, as Shopify Rebellion found themselves in the same place in North America. So this is familiar territory for some of these squads. And I mean, hey, Los made a pretty deep run. They came close to making main stage, closer than I think a lot of people had thought of them. They thought that FURIA might be one of the teams to make it to the group, make it out of groups into the playoffs. Did not happen. Shopify Rebellion made it to the grand finals from play-ins, so anything is popular. The only thing is Brazil doesn't tend to usually do that well at EWC for reasons that we really can't quite explain. FURIA, after putting in a clinic on the last 2 maps, 1 victory, 1 loss, they've suffered 2 big losses here, losing Loira and Volps, Jesse.
Yeah, a couple of those roamers getting taken out early from FaZe Clan. Something that they weren't really able to do back on Bank, Parker, was get those roam clears and get them done cleanly. This time on a full, not even a full anchor setup, but a full extension, really, from FURIA. It hasn't gone the way they were hoping for. Box Zero will step up to be a hero, entering in through bottom garage, knows that there's a player just outside, but caught on a drone, and has to retreat back towards the site. He hasn't been able to find success here on the aggressive move, and because FaZe Clan were so fast to clear those roamers, they still have plenty of time to just wait out these flanks and put together the perfect push.
Down goes Cyber at the hands of Boxera. Furia's first kill will come with just under a minute left in the round. They'll need to hope that FaZe has some stumbles as they look for hatch drops. They look for a push over towards church side. There's a split take now coming in with blue being a big focus, but there goes Vidaking, there goes Souls. Handy and KDS suddenly last two standing. Handy's found an opportunity for a backstab, and Boxera will need to save the round. 30 seconds to go. KDS does it all. My goodness. And FaZe Clan wins a scramble in round one.
Parker, I won't say that Bank was easy for Furia, but there's no doubt that that was the weakest version of FaZe Clan that they'll have to fight today. And it's nice to see one round deep that FaZe Clan are back to their old form. They are a great clubhouse team when they're showing it in this very first round. It's clinical on the roam clear. They absolutely demolish Loira and Volps there on the top floor. Gets a little messy for sure down in the execute. Much like the Bank basement attack that we just watched, the execute was definitely the weak point for FaZe Clan, but they're still able to put those frags together. Handy and KDS working really well in that 2v situation, with Handy coming in through Moto, through Church, and then KDS pushing that blue side of the map. They're able to really pinch those anchors nicely and give FaZe Clan that first round on the board. Furia are a good team, and they came close to winning that one out, but this will be a harder task for them than winning on Bank was.
Undeniably so. One thing when we talk about rematches, you say that the team that always lost the first time around has a distinct advantage the second time. FaZe Clan lost to T-Law in the upper bracket, just defeated them earlier today to be in this position. Furia lost their initial matchup against FaZe Clan on this map a couple weeks ago. It was a score of 7-5 favoring FaZe. So just as we saw in the very first map, FaZe's pick of Chalet, Furia pushed them all the way to 12 rounds and looked for several moments as if they could have been the better team. Now, a lot of that was, of course, Loira papering over their weaknesses, but Furia got their map done far more efficiently. This time, that means that Furia should win the rematch here on this map. But, of course, not quite that simple.
Well, you got a very new look coming out from Furia on the CCTV Cash bomb site. This clash from Volps was not something that was brought out in their first meeting back during the group stage. Boxera on the rafters will not be a surprise. He's here on the Azami. If that gets banned out, we'd expect him to move to the dock based on previous history, but has different options available to him. Often they will like to play with some of this util denial too, and so we've got Diaz jumping on this Wamai after it's been buffed in the mid-season patch to try to lock down some of these important positions, whether he's put some of those magnets over towards rafters, whether he's keeping a lot of them kind of over on the site side of things as well to lock down red. He's got options with his utility. There are some roamers down below. Herds is in the basement. Loira is towards the bottom of Easton Lounge. So there are some players you've got to worry about if you're FaZe Clan, taking a lot of this map control, but it seems like they have good intel.
Look at the read here now. Oh, Cyber, how do you miss that? Herd's shiny dome presenting itself for you, and you can't follow up effectively. That's a frustrating one for him. Handy will fall. Opportunity slipping through the fingers of FaZe Clan. This has been a reoccurring theme. They are a great team. We have no reason to count them out, but slowly and steadily, these small mistakes are adding up and costing FaZe.
Good intel, but bad aim. KDS hits the ground as well. Will be picked up by Vidaking, so they have still a 4v5, but what's the map control looking like, Parker? They have almost nothing except for just a little bit of master, and even that's being contested by the Clash.
Flash is now pushed into a position. The Ying unable to secure. A frustrating one for Souls as he watches most of his teammates die. Now he's in the lion's den, and Loira will devour him. Neither of these teams really seem to be able to shake each other at the start of all of the maps today, and this one is no different. Furia tie the game after round 2.
Great Rafters play by Bach in that round, Parker. He gets the opening pick onto Handy. I believe it was him who downs KDS in the midst of that as well. Obviously, he wasn't finished off, but oftentimes what you'll find from an Azami player on Rafters is when the attackers don't commit to clearing that side of the map, when the attackers are focused more on construction and mastering getting below the bomb site, the Rafters player doesn't really have a whole lot of value. Bach was still able to get some really good picks in the midst of that round, despite the fact that he wasn't receiving the bulk of the pressure. It got that early man count advantage favoring Furia, favoring the defenders there on the top floor, and then they were really able to just slow things down. The Clash player from Volps was aggressive, but not overly so. He still got back to the site with plenty of time to play with. Those Candelas just weren't quite enough to crack open the bomb site. So nicely played by FURIA. Everybody contributing in that second round, and we're all tied up after 2.
10 seconds left before insertion.
People appreciate that we moved today's play day to Monday, and well, let me tell you this much. This is already a much more exciting game than the World Cup final that we saw yesterday. I don't know if you bothered to watch it at all, Jesse, but watching Spain just kick the ball around for about 130 minutes by themselves was really, well, it was really quite something, I got to say. Crazy that they televised a practice with one of the worst halftime shows I've ever seen in my life in the middle of it, but that's okay.
I was a little busy. I did not watch the spectacle. I heard the third place game was good though.
I mean,
if nothing
else, that was a hockey score, 6-4. Yeah. That's crazy. Even if that's the score in a hockey game, that's high. France England did not disappoint. I selfishly wanted that as the finals when I saw the final 4 teams in there, but I will say I am very happy that Spain won. Oh, I've had a lot more fun casting and watching this series than I will say I had at any point yesterday watching the final. So.
And because they were South American, I assume all the fans of our broadcast were cheering for the South American Argentinian team in the finals. So
I don't think you understand what Brazil is in South America versus the rest of the continent, Parker, Jesse, but you...
I'm sure it's like esports, like you cheer for your region, right? South America strong, united.
You have just pissed off so many Brazilian fans. You have no idea. Loira with the leadoff pick. Down goes Cyber. FaZe Clan suffering early in this round. Halfway point about to be reached, as the clash proving itself to be quite an impediment, just as we saw in the previous round. It dumbfounded FaZe Clan, and now Boxer is hoping to replicate that success. So far, so good, as he's denied entry for FaZe into Cash, and is now requiring them to use as much of their utility as possible. Cash secured, so construction now the next chance for FaZe, but they are getting picked apart by FURIA. This aggression just, oh, so good! Diaz does not move a muscle, finds 2 kills from that perch, and suddenly the last 2 players from FaZe are outnumbered 2-1, and Boxer on the shield is still there to slow them down even further. Loira does it, Diaz does it, and FURIA takes the lead.
Really strong defense from FURIA again, Parker. That clash was actually something they showed versus FaZe Clan the first time these two teams met on Clubhouse a couple weeks ago, but despite that, there really weren't any good answers from FaZe. I like the idea with the Nomad being brought out by Cyber. They clearly expected this clash to come through, but they still could not find a way past it. Surprisingly, we don't see it getting banned. They're going to continue to allow it to be played out. Obviously, on Clubhouse, the walls are so important. So banning out the Mira so that, of course, you can't play with those strong angles and they can't use it to deny the main breach. It makes sense, but it must feel so bad to have to leave that operator still on the board. Boxera doing a great job in that previous round, keeping them contained after they got that cash extension control. FaZe Clan, I wouldn't say they're so pressured. It was FURIA who got to choose their side start, and certainly on Clubhouse, you'd expect the defense side to do well, but when these two teams met, it was FaZe's attacks that made the difference. They got a 4-2 attacking side for FaZe Clan, and then the second half with FaZe on the defense went 3-3. So it was that extra round on the offense that allowed FaZe Clan to win the matchup the last time these two teams met. If FURIA can walk away, even with a tied first half here, that starts to put us on a bit of a different course and maybe a different result to end out the day.
I'll throw your expectations out the window here because FURIA have decided to be a team possessed. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. Boxer has woken up Diaz, who we were critical of through map 2 for not showing up, at least to the potential that he has, and the stat line that he's provided for this team through the entirety of the group stages and now through the playoffs has woken up as well. So really good numbers across the board for these FURIA players. And of course, it's been Loira's day. He has dominated FaZe Clan in every single map, breaking double digits in, well, pretty easy order if you think about it. All the way back on Chalet, Loira finished 13-8 on Bank, 14-6. And now here on Clubhouse, well, as you can see, he's got 5 kills to his name. So already halfway to 6 kills to his name, already halfway to double digits. So can't even speak fast enough to match the kills that Loira is getting.
It's a problem for us on the cast. It's a bigger problem for FaZe Clan in the server. They have to find some way to break him down, but as Handy goes down, they've lost their best tool to find his location. He'll shoot the Selma off the wall, which keeps that bathroom spot even more deadly. They can't break through. It was the roam clear that was so successful for FaZe Clan back in round number 1, but this time it's a different story. They're stalling out outside the building. They're losing the opening duel. Cyber gets an answer back onto Herds. Two former rivals, as they were previously both in the top 2 teams in the world, but now it just feels like this team is stalling out a little bit more. Parker, the rotate back towards the site will begin. Volps gets a free path back with that Scopos ability. And Lawyer looks like he's found a safe way back towards Kitchen. If the hatch is closed, he might be going for a rat play. He doesn't want to leave the roam game.
Losing the Deimos is really so tricky. Hold on a second here, Jesse, because they've lost Loira. Doesn't matter what role he plays, doesn't matter what operator he's playing. He's been punishing them. He's been favoring the Scorpion quite a bit. Secured by Cyber. Sorry, Jesse, go ahead. I cut you off. It was very rude of me.
Also a great gun.
Scorpion's been really good. I mean, we've been seeing a bunch of Denari as well on a number of maps. He gets played on Chalet. He gets played on Border. We've seen him played both of these matchups so far today. He's a good operator, and there's honestly a lot of potential. If you are a solo queue player and you are hearing this, Denari can be used really effectively as a selfish operator. If you cannot rely on your teammates, which frankly, you need to rely on your teammates in a game like Siege, but there's some times where that's not really possible. He's terrific for you to find your own value. Cyber with a 3rd kill, but he might have to ace clutch at this current point in time, Jesse. It's just him and Vidiking remaining now. 10 seconds to go. Furia can lock out this FaZe Clan aggression. There's Diaz taking care of Cyber, so no ace to be had. Vidiking, who's had a pretty decent day, all things considered, might just run out of time, but Diaz toys with him. Goofy to watch, but hey, it gets the job done. Furia's lead continues to grow as they are slowly but surely running away with this map.
Diaz, one of the most annoying anchor players to ever go up against. It's a 3K from Cyber that starts us off, Parker. The roam game, again, is actually pretty good from Furia, but when they get down to the site, they've got to deal with Diaz and Boxzera, and it feels like that's just an impossible task. Diaz so good at isolating those fights. He knows exactly when he needs to get aggressive to try to stop one of those dimensions to the push, stop one of those extra angles from getting out of control, and it just feels like Furia have done a really good job of dominating from start to finish in these rounds. You go back to the opening picks as well. Sure, they lost it back in the first round when Loira went down, but since then, it has been all Furia, winning 4 straight opening duels and winning 4 straight bomb sites now. Or sorry, 3 straight, I should say. Setting themselves up really nicely, though, with Boxzera winning in round number 2, Loira winning in 3 and 4. A full site rotation will prompt the TAC timeout to come through from FaZe Clan in a very scary situation where they could go down quite heavily at the halftime.
Concerning signs for FaZe Clan as we have to go all the way back to Bank to start talking about how they've been able to successfully win rounds with, I guess you could say, confidence. Yes, round number 1 here on this map went to FaZe Clan, but Furia took Bank with 4 rounds in a row. If you add it to this tally right now, that's 7-1 over the last 8 rounds for Furia. FaZe Clan have only been able to break that streak by winning this first round. And it was a good round. Don't kid yourself. It was well done, but certainly not the dominance that we're used to seeing from FaZe. It brings back a lot of memories to when we casted them playing Los the other day, Jesse. Los are a decent team. They are good. Would I say they are consistently a top 4 team in Brazil? I would not. And this might anger some Los fans, and that's totally fine. But when you look at the other teams that are in the region, I think Los has had, a bit of an overperformance, and they've had a bit of a lighter schedule as well. Now, the reason why I say that is not to denigrate Los, but it's to show that up against an opponent that is weaker than a lot of teams in this region, FaZe had their hands full. And now going up against Furia, we are seeing mistakes being committed again. It starts to answer the question that we asked with the Black Dragon and Loud losses that FaZe suffered in the last 2 days of groups. Was it really them taking it easy? Or were teams slowly starting to figure out this FaZe Clan team, finally figure out this FaZe Clan team, and beat them? it seems like FaZe have maybe regressed a little bit, and the rest of the region has caught up.
It feels like a bit of a changing of the guard between these two teams, from the old to the new. Still plenty of time to bring things back for FaZe Clan, though, and they've got one of the best coaching staff in the world to try to do that. Rafadel, of course, head coach of FaZe Clan, as he has been for years at this point, uses his tack time to try to get them back on track. But again, the youngest player in the league will find the opening frag onto the oldest. Cyber dies here on the rafters window, the garage door even. And here comes the Tachanka strat. This is popularized by NJR, hoping to slow down Vidaking's advance on the rafters. As long as Bot can stay alive, it's going to be really tough to take this space.
Oh my goodness, there goes Cyber, there goes KDS. Vidaking huffing in so much gas. Fire is there as well. FURIA beating the stuffing out of FaZe Clan inside of garage. All of the bodies buried in that position. It leaves Handy and Souls in a 2v5, and Souls and Handy through 4 rounds, Jesse, have just 1, now 2 kills. This is dreadful for FaZe. Their offense, sputtering strategy is bad. Map control is bad. There really isn't much good to say about this FaZe team.
And they just don't have what they need to clear out that Rafters position. It was played so well by Bach and Volps. Now, of course, in the man disadvantage, they'll have to 6-tuple their kills combined to be able to win this one out, but they're watching every angle. They know exactly where FaZe Clan want to push. Souls alone after Handy falls. 1v4. He has a barely enterable breach here on the main wall, and finally goes down to Volps in one of the cleanest defenses we've seen on that site in a very long time.
Oh my goodness, from bad to worse, as it certainly appears like they are in free fall. That is a devastating position for them to be in. And what does FaZe Clan do at this current point in time to slow things down? FURIA, again, in full control of the last hour or so. Last time FaZe Clan won back-to-back rounds were rounds 3 and 4 of Bank. Jesse, that was well over an hour ago at this point in time. Since then, they have won 2 rounds, which was round 6 on Bank, and then round 1 here. 5 rounds were won by FURIA on Bank, and now 4 rounds have been won here on Clubhouse. This is absolute domination in every single sense of the word, and it's not even just the Loira show, as he's looking to go 3 for 3 on breaking double digits. He's well poised to do that, sitting at 7 kills right now, and there's still plenty to play. I mean, the only thing that seems that I would say would stop him from hitting double digits, Jesse, is if this match ends too early. If it ends up going in FURIA over the next 3 rounds, there just might not be enough runway for Loira to be able to land the thing, especially with the fact that Diaz has 6 kills, Boxera has 6 kills, everybody on FURIA finding their targets and finding them so easily. FaZe Clan are putting in one of the worst performances we've seen from them in a best of 3 in quite some time.
Oh, we're just not slowing down today, Parker. Loira's getting aggro on the secret window, finds Handy to start this one off. That's your primary hard breacher off the board. Brutal loss early to come through from FaZe Clan. They do still have can openers, but still, the Habana will be a big loss off of the board, and it's just going to continue to imbue confidence in the side of FURIA. Loira 8-2 now, Boxera 6-2. These are the youngsters, once again, 21 and 20 years old respectfully. These are the young guys who have not really had their time in the spotlight. Certainly Loira on G2 has had some big moments in the past, but he's never really lifted a trophy. He's never been at the very top of the scene like he wants to be, and we're seeing these 2 youngsters really start to shine today, start to showcase what they're made of up against what is the best team in Rainbow Six history. They're making them look like silvers.
Absolutely. This is like me watching my own gameplay, Jesse. It's really quite horrifying stuff. And I mean, some of the worst performances from FaZe that we've seen in quite some time, that includes their 0-2 loss. That was what ultimately pushed them down to the lower bracket in the first place. FaZe are just desperately swinging at everything, and it somehow don't even net a single kill. What on earth is going on here? A flawless end to the first half. FURIA 6 minutes away from being the best in Brazil.
Sprinting for the finish line right now. FURIA obviously demolishing FaZe on Clubhouse so far, but Ollie, one piece that you and I think FURIA received a lot of criticism for in the SAL is their inability to get those entries, or at least being negative on the entries so drastically. Not the case in this map.
I mean, look at the entry that Laura was able to get onto Handy in that very last round. He takes out the hard breach and just straight away spawn peek, call it what you like. It's effective and it's working at the moment. FaZe are struggling. I have not seen this team struggle for so long. And yet simple positions like the one occupied right now by Boxera, just trying to keep control of Rafters. He's got a Wamai. Wamai's just been buffed. Wamai's meant to be amazing right now. Bok, he's there playing on the Azami. What do? You walk him down with a Monty. You try and get a bit of utility in there, and you try and get somebody in their face. KDS, boom, taken down. Downed by someone else, and I believe finished off by Bok. Vitaking, left with very little choice there but to try and make a play. You could see Herds. He was riding in through Oil Pit, trying to get involved on that action as well. You bring a Monty and a Capital to deal with that player on Rafters. And, okay, we've not got the Capital. It's been banned out. But there's other tools that you can bring. You've got the Zephyr. You've got the Bees. You've got the Nomad. Whatever it is that you want. And we're not seeing FaZe join up the dots right now. And that's the really alarming thing, because this is a team where they just usually flow through a map and everything works out for them and they make decisions and you don't even realize that it's a decision because it just looks so natural to them. But at the moment, boy, oh boy, are they struggling.
Well, and especially when the old tricks like the Monty aren't working. I mean, how often is that operator banned against Vidaking, doesn't get the opportunity to play it? He does so here, and he's just met with a metric ton of utility and isn't able to have any impact on top Rafters. FURIA converting every single one of the opening picks they've acquired, completely shutting out FaZe Clan on Clubhouse so far. And based on the pace we've seen, I mean, Bank obviously was a 7-3 victory for FURIA. That looked quite good on the back half, but with the beating that FaZe just took here, the momentum is miles away from FaZe Clan's camp.
Oh, I mean, quite literally expect to be hearing from us again in, 6-7 minutes time, something like that, because FaZe have shown really no signs that they're in this game at all. Obviously, it's getting on in the series a little bit for them. They played a full best of 2 before this as well. Okay, it was 7-3, 7-3, but they're still getting on the thick end of playing quite a lot of Siege tonight. And I don't know if they've just run out of steam or run out of desire or what it is, but they can't match toe-to-toe with FURIA right now.
Well, FaZe are running out of time to make this a competitive Clubhouse. We have potentially the last couple rounds of the grand final coming up right now.
FaZe Clan desperate to extend this map to force it into overtime or hell, even regulation 7-5, still technically in the cards, but they're going to have to play so much better than what we've seen from them on their attacking half. Parker, they move to the defense, and this is where they have to mount their final stand. This is the best defending team in South America, a 63% overall win rate on this second half. It's got to be even better than that if they want to be able to close this out, if they want to be able to force an overtime. It feels like too tall of a task. It feels like too much, and it feels like it's already a foregone conclusion. But this is FaZe Clan we're talking about. I mean, surely this team is not going out without a fight.
What an unceremonious end. Words are hard. What an unceremonious end to this stage it would be for FaZe Clan. Now, we are being a little bit, I don't want to say negative, but we are definitely venturing into territory where it sounds like FaZe Clan are the worst team we've ever seen. And I want to just kind of recalibrate our expectations here. Because at absolute worst, FaZe Clan are the second worst team in Brazil. And I don't want to fall victim to the same narrative that a lot of people did with Shopify Rebellion when they lost to Dark Zero in the SLC finals. You lose Salt Lake City, you finish second in the grand finals. People should be praising you in your performance. Ditto what they should do for FaZe Clan. The only difference between the two is that FaZe have been so consistently good. Frankly, we expect them to win or at minimum lose with a very competitive scoreline. That latter part has not materialized yet. This has not been a very competitive series. Map number 1, FaZe eked out a victory on their own map. They got blown out on map 2, and they are currently getting blown out on map 3. So the loss is not the big story. The story is how they are losing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the expectations, right? For Shopify Rebellion, second in Salt Lake City was the best result that team has ever had, even going back to when they were the Sonics. For FaZe Clan, first in Brazil used to be a foregone conclusion. This team won for years straight domestically without dropping a stage, and now here they are. Lost a couple stages in a row, maybe going to lose again to FURIA. It just feels like things are starting to change. But again, the game is not over. The history is not yet written. FaZe Clan can pull things back. They're not going for a roam strategy. They did this a lot on Bank, where they extended out of the basement. They tried to win fights early in the game, and it didn't really do them any favors. This time, they're going to reset and try to take a page out of the FURIA book, where they just rein things in a little bit, try to play with their utility inside the site. They brought 4 Nitro Cells to this defense, which many a statsman will tell you does bode well for their chances to win things out in general, but you combine that with the Goyo canisters, and this time is going to end up being a big problem for FURIA when they get to the execute.
All right. He started off with a Nitro Cell, taking care of Boxera. That puts more weight on the shoulders of these FURIA players, Lawyer in particular, who for the 3rd map in a row is poised to break double digits. I think it's unlikely that over the next 2+ rounds, Lawyer ends up with 0 kills, but again, Caster Curse is a real thing, and it's entirely possible. Vidaking gets Volps. Volps not supported at all. Herds trades Cyber out, but the damage is done, and Handy will now retake from above as Diaz has no clue whatsoever that FaZe have retaken the main floor. Handy takes down Herds, and now it's all up to Loira. 9 kills to his name, 4 players to be found on FaZe Clan. Can he even secure one? Fuse Kid out of reach, 10 seconds to go. Doesn't seem like Lawyer wants to give them too much. Struggling with the recoil and gets nothing for it. KDS shuts him down. FaZe Clan desperately needed that round, and they got it.
That's exactly what we expect from the 2-time world champions, Parker. They anchor things down. They play with their Nitro Cells. They bring 4 of them. They only get 1 pick by my count on those C4s. It was the very first one, but that's all that they really needed. They took down Boxera early on that vert play. And then what do? They really group up. I love the way that FaZe Clan were able to play together down in the bottom floor. That pick onto Volps playing the Blitz was so critical. He had a full blind straight onto KDS on the Mira inside of blue, but then Vidaking was right there around the reinforcement to get that kill onto the shield, making sure that they're stopping these aggressive plays coming through from FURIA. I like that from FaZe. If they're going to bring this game back, if they're going to have any hope at winning this grand finals, they'll have to do it by playing together.
Doesn't take long for FaZe Clan to settle in and start to gel. There have been only a couple opportunities that jump to mind, or we can think of FaZe Clan falling apart at the seams. One of them happened in the SI Grand Finals when they were within striking distance of what would have been their first hammer, but we had one of the best matches in Rainbow Six history, if not the best match in Rainbow Six history, depending on what your qualifications are there for your games. And I mean, we'll take it. For FaZe fans, obviously they weren't particularly happy after being on the precipice of greatness for so long, but you know what? They can cry into their 2 hammers that they got in back-to-back SIs after that. FaZe have really not had a serious implosion at a high level. Certainly nothing with a spotlight this big on them, so it is a bit abnormal to see them performing the way that they are. Their fraggers just not doing very well. Again, so many times they wandered in without intel, without information at their disposal, and I do have to wonder if what we praised FaZe on just a couple days ago is actually working against them, Jesse. They don't like to play whatever the current meta is. They play their own siege. Not abusing intel ops could be catching up to them.
Well, certainly abusing the meta in this round, Parker. They've got KDS on the Wamai, locking down Rafters. At the same time, FURIA deciding where they want to push with this. Because they've got Boxera on the glass, they could use that to try to work a pick over on Rafters' side, but based on where everybody else is positioned, it looks like they are going to try to focus on this master clear, and Diaz gets the opening pick on that side of the map, finds Vidaking, who is challenging on that Logi hatch. An ill-advised move to come through from the FaZe Clan captain, and it starts things off on the right foot for FURIA. If somebody can get a trade back, though, if Souls can find some value to get some kills backwards, he could be the savior that FaZe Clan need this round.
You hear Lawyer spot at least one defender as now Souls will get flashed inside a bathroom. Handy guns down Volps, and there's Lawyer breaking double digits, Jesse. It costs him a pretty penny. He's on a single point of HP right now. FaZe Clan at a disadvantage. FURIA just needs a single round to move to championship point. They're primed to do it, but I don't love the HPs of Diaz and Loira, and now they've lost Herds as well. The remainder of Diaz found out. Loira on borrowed time. Handy finding his 3rd kill. Multi-kills for Handy coming in quite handy for this FaZe team.
That's a crazy play by Handy on the Thorn. He uses the gadget to force the player off and then comes and slams him and he's down the rappel. That's a really nice little piece of the util, but they've still got more work to do, Parker. Still just a 2-man versus 3 attacking in towards the site. Boxzera has this smoke up for cover, and Laura's going for the plant.
They're going to continue to fire away. Somehow FURIA has turned this one around. A nitro cell from KDS let her rip, and he gets him right as the defuse kit was about to go down. Boxzera will take up place as KDS swirls around. You see the mark there, and the glass has no chance whatsoever. 2 rounds in a row for FaZe. They have very quickly got themselves back in this series.
KDS, not a man who always wants to jump on Rainbow Six Siege, but he's desperate to keep this game going as long as possible, and he plays that 1v2 perfectly, Parker. I want to replay, we won't get it, but I want to replay on that Nitrocell slow-mo to figure out how close that plant was to going down, because that changes the entire course of the round, right? If that C4 is a split second later, the defuse kit hits the ground, all of a sudden the glass, instead of having to plant, can just hold from outside the breach. It's a way more favorable situation for Boxzera, but instead he's forced to do what his teammate couldn't, attempts the plant. He's just sticking it a little bit too long, and KDS plays that really well. He and Handy get every single kill in the midst of that one for FaZe Clan to continue keeping this game going. 5-3 now is the scoreline, and FURIA starting to feel the fear of what might be approaching. They call their tack timeout.
The comeback is very real here, and what a fitting end it would be, Jesse, to this final map. We know that the end of the road is fast approaching for Stage 1. For those that are not working or watching EWC or being involved in any capacity, it will be probably 2 months, maybe a little bit less than 2 months. Admittedly, I don't have the schedule for when Stage 2 will begin, but it's pretty fair to say it'll happen sometime in early to maybe mid-September at the absolute latest. So regular stage play, and for all of those teams that again are not participating or are involved in EWC in any way, we won't see them in action again until sometime in September, unless of course there's a goofy schedule change coming up that I'm not aware of and we're back at the end of August or even sometime in October. Who really knows at this point? But yeah, it's what a fitting end this would be. Brazil has always marched to the beat of its own drum, period, and of course they've always been a little bit behind in the schedules, and it always allows them to shine as all eyes go on them in their region. So if you're here enjoying FaZe versus FURIA, as a neutral observer, you're probably clamoring for FaZe to continue their winning trajectory.
What was that mirror window from KDS? He just put it inside of CC facing the top of Rafters. I guess it allows you to play kind of aggressive into that Rafters position, but now the main breach is open over on the platform, and it just feels like that's not really going to be so impactful. Herds will spot it out now. FaZe Clan, no doubt, one of the most creative teams that we have in Rainbow Six Siege. They're always willing to try something new with these mirror setups, and I really respect that about their game, even if it doesn't end up working out so well for them. They'll get past it on the side of FURIA and start their cache clear.
Making an unholy racket now as KDS will start off the killing. Down goes Herds, and they will chase KDS in his position at top red. Nitrocell goes out. Volps watches it blow up and somehow survives. Jesse, I think in real life, half the building would be gone. But we are playing a video game, and Volps is very lucky that he is still here and still fighting, but has to be worried about below. And of course, red stairs has not been taken away from FaZe yet.
Don't believe it's being played at the moment. They did just rotate all the way down those stairs, so they're in the site, Parker. They're already quite deep. It's a team kill from Handy, but they do finally finish off Volps, pressuring in towards the bomb site. They knew a couple players were off, so they wanted to hit it quickly, but with their blitz going down, can they really still commit to this on the side of FURIA?
Look like there might be another team kill, but this time on the side of FURIA from outside. FaZe Clan, one of their biggest criticisms was not killing enough. Now they're killing everything, including each other. You know what? I'll take that as a win, Jesse. That's a big boon. Boxzera takes down Cyber. There goes Handy. And FaZe Clan were hoping for more than 2 rounds in a row. KDS with the improbable clutch coming up as he sees Boxzera on the window. Down goes Loira. He'll be chased down by Diaz, and he's as good as gone. FURIA moved to championship point.
So well played in the mid-round, Parker. I can't believe that call that they just made seconds after clearing out that cash extension with their blitz. They said, let's go straight through construction, hit this bomb site, and start causing some chaos. They spotted that the player ran down red, right? We saw it from Volp's POV. There was a guy at the top of those stairs, I believe it was KDS on the Mira, who wanted to get back as quickly as possible towards his teammates on site, but FURIA really took that as an opportunity. They said, we might be down in numbers, but there are a couple of players that might still be off the bomb site, who might still be lurking down in the basement. And indeed, when they went for that site hit, KDS was still not actually on site. They got a really good pick onto Souls, or onto Vidaking, I should say, who was playing up towards gold. It was really well executed from FURIA. It's a split-second decision that makes the difference, but it is good for them to hit match point, and now 3 straight opportunities to close this one out and become champions of the Stage 1 SAL.
What a feather in the cap of FURIA that would be, Jesse, as FaZe Clan is the team that we always expect to be one of the best in Brazil and best in the world. Any nagging doubts that people had about this FURIA team before EWC begins would hopefully be alleviated, providing FURIA is able to take this. Still a decently long road ahead for FaZe Clan if they want to turn this around, but it has been a striking difference between attack and defense up to this point. The attackers have only won 2 rounds on this map. It has been an incredible going for the defenders. For those that don't have a visual aid, on your screen, FaZe Clan are defending. That does bode well for them. FURIA took the first half 5-1 defending. Now it's FaZe Clan's turn to do the same. If we can see joint 5-1 halves, that sends us to overtime where it's really anybody's game, because we don't tend to see that same attacker or defender style of gameplay hold over. My goodness. Loira on drone outside of the main door, punished by Cyber. And if you need to stay alive and stay in this match, that's the kind of thing that'll get the job done.
Old dogs, old tricks. Cyber with his spawn peaks. Some things never change, Parker. It'll be an opening pick onto the best player for FURIA today, and Cyber will head straight back to the basement after getting that man advantage for his team. You lose the Twitch, that's going to make those mirror windows much more difficult to clear out. The Goyo canisters as well will likely stay up a little bit longer than they otherwise would. So that's a really important piece of utility taken off the board for FURIA. Also, of course, a very talented player with a great gun. So you've got a really good player taken off early on the side of FURIA. Now what do you do to try to equalize this man count? You've got to dodge 3 nitro cells as you start to work on these floorboards and open the hatches. Then you've got to get past the utility in sight, like Kiba barriers, Goyos, and Mira windows. They need something to go in their favor. A pick through the vertical, catching someone not looking, maybe tossing in a nade that catches a defender, or another team kill favoring FURIA. Something has to go their way, because I'm worried about all the util that FaZe will have in sight for this push.
Here the Blitz expending as many of his munitions as is humanly possible with the pistol in hand. Still firing away at this current point in time, but Volps is not hitting any of these targets that he wants. He could be picking away at some utility that we're just not seeing at this current point in time as we're riding along with Boxera. Loira's 13 kills, by the way, will match his tally that we saw back all the way in map number 1. He has been just oh so good today, and we can talk about that a little bit, providing that we need another round. If FURIA is able to pull this one out, they are champions, and right now they have a numbers advantage. Nitro Cell will go off. Volps was largely unsupported. Nobody from FURIA able to stop that explosive from going off, and now FaZe will swarm him. Herds has missed an opportunity for the few defenders that have been within reach, but I mean, Herds is playing this about as effectively as you could from this spot. Boxera drop in. He'll meet his fate at the hands of KDS. That Vector shredding him. Who is next from FURIA to meet their fate? Down goes Herds at the hands of Cyber, and now it's Diaz. Diaz, the savior of the last round, tears some strips out of these FaZe players, but he is running out of time. Cyber on full HP, nowhere to be seen, and there's no way Diaz is going to even give them that. He will wait out the remainder of the round, stay alive, and FaZe Clan close the gap, but it's still championship point for FURIA.
One of the things that makes FaZe Clan the best team in the world for the last 2 years has been their ability to play any style of Siege. And in that round, you got 2 completely different styles. It starts on the mechanics. It starts with Cyber having the wherewithal to peek that billiards window, get the opening pick, and then fall back to site for an early man count advantage favoring FaZe Clan. And then after that, it's all about the time denial. It's all about the utility. Volps was dropping on that blitz, and I think the calculus was clear. He said, I'm running a shield. We know from a couple rounds ago, I can survive out even if it lands directly at my feet. And he was right in that calculation. Vidaking chucks in the Nitro Cell, Volps blocks it and survives with 50 HP. The problem is FaZe didn't just have one Nitro Cell, they had 3. And while Handies didn't get any value, both Vidaking and KDS chucked those Nitros into the face of Volps, and eventually it was enough to down the blitz and stop the plants. FURIA, I think, did a great attempt trying to clutch that up in the man count disadvantage. Their vert play was quite good, but ultimately it just wasn't enough against that site utility. Really good restraint by FaZe Clan, not using any of those C4s until the plant had actually committed to dropping and going for it.
Excellently summarized on your end, and now FaZe Clan have even greater opportunity to send us to overtime, as they will now defend this top floor bomb site. Look at the utility being brought by FURIA to handle this rafters position. The Grim, the Zofia on the board, no nades. So if you want to open up some of that wall with your thermite, get into the building, you will need those explosives to take care of whoever's going to be up there. Usually this is handled by a Capitao or a set of frag grenades, neither of those being brought by FURIA to deal with this. And you know how powerful that rafter spot can be. There also exists the possibility that FURIA just decides to forego it and instead goes for a construction execute, taking red stairs. And when they open up main breach, you can leave rafters to their own devices and have somebody outside, especially if FURIA ends up with a numbers advantage, to babysit the Azami of KDS. But that is cart very much before the horse, as we are only 45 to 50 seconds into this round.
Yeah, of course, the way these CC pushes work, you generally need construction or you need rafters. You don't necessarily need both, and it's very obvious what FURIA want to go for in this one. It'll be a construction clear. That means taking Master, that means taking Logi, that means taking Jim. Already outside the Jacuzzi breach, they're applying pressure onto Souls 1 and 8. It has not been a great map to come through from the Elder on FaZe Clan. Handy finds Lyra down below, though. Also not been a great couple of rounds for him, as he's been the opening death a number of times now here in this second half. Still pressuring these construction players, Parker. This roam game has to get cleared out sooner rather than later, but they're playing so well together. Everybody grouping up with this shotgun. Vidaking with another one to support Souls, and everything's coming together for FaZe.
The defender-sided map, baby, and that is exactly what we are seeing as it's over in the blink of an eye. FaZe Clan continuing to prolong this matchup. 5-1, the scoreline that we saw, and it tightened ever so slightly, but in round number 9, FURIA moved to championship point. And now FaZe Clan have an opportunity to do something that frankly seemed unthinkable 20 minutes ago, and that's win this match. They've just got to get to overtime and then take the next steps. No unlimited OT, only 3 rounds if you get there. But FaZe Clan have the onerous task of doing so. A reminder, the first half, 5 rounds won by the defending team of FURIA. Now FaZe Clan have won 4 of their own. The attackers have been unable to win more than a single round, despite multiple operator lineups, despite multiple attempts, changing things up, timeouts called. It does not matter. And one other thing to keep your eye on, Jesse. The team that has drawn first blood has gone on to win all but 2 rounds so far. So, hugely important that you strike first. Your chances of winning over 80% here on Clubhouse if you can get kill number 1. Keep an eye on FaZe Clan as they've been playing continuously more and more aggressive against FURIA, and they've been searching for opening picks pretty early in a lot of these rounds.
I'll remind you as well, FURIA got the initial side choice of defense, which means FaZe Clan would have gotten to choose what side they wanted to start on in overtime. I do not have official confirmation what their choice was, but I would be flabbergasted if they didn't choose to start on defense, Parker. So you have to imagine if we get to overtime, that'll be a FaZe Clan focused affair where they will have the advantage getting to defend twice and only having to attack once. But as you said, cart before the horse. Let's get there first. FURIA will like to close this one out. 7-5, still a possibility for them on the offensive side. They won this bomb site the last time they were here. Gym and Bedroom came off of a really fast push through construction after getting that cash clear successfully, but this time they lose the opening duel. Handy finds that one onto Volps. The stat you said, Parker, ringing true. This makes things very difficult for FURIA.
So challenging. And FURIA not really having much in the way of intel other than drones and the Grim on the board. Same cannot be said for FaZe Clan. Deployable shields, mirror windows, traps galore. There's really not been any individual heroic performances from FaZe Clan 2, Jesse. As this game has tightened, it's really been a team effort, and that is FaZe at their best.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I said it right when we won that first 7th round. And they won their first defense. They have to be able to win it by playing together. That's exactly what they've done. Here comes a Nitro Cell to eat up Boxzera. 2-man advantage now in FURIA. They're stalling out. They've got map control inside of Con. They're outside on Highway, but they're eating Nitros again. 2v5, and the swings don't stop from the captain of Vidaking. Finishes them all off, and it's a huge 3K to be able to end out a flawless final regulation round.
How many people would have believed you if you said when it was 5-1 that FaZe Clan would win the 12th round flawlessly to send us to overtime? You would have been laughed out of the room. And the defenders doing what they do best on this map. Jesse, you said it just moments ago. FaZe Clan gets to choose their side here in overtime. And, well, while traditionally the side that dominates in regulation doesn't always have that same level of success in overtime, FaZe Clan is going to do their best to try and guarantee it. So they will pick defending twice. They might not even need to do it twice. If they can break that streak that the defenders are on at the moment next round, it could be over in 2. But it's getting ahead of ourselves. We know that there is roughly 10 minutes remaining in this matchup. That is it. And by then, we will have crowned a champion here in Brazil. It has been an incredible best of 3. Map number 1 going all 12 rounds. That was FaZe's pick of Chalet. FURIA, with this current core, has never played it. And yet they pushed FaZe to the brink. Now, obviously, I say that with Loira going nuclear in a number of rounds. If Loira was not as good in a couple of those rounds, I think that's more of a FaZe blowout, but that's not what happened. We go to map number 2, a bank, and FaZe did not look comfortable there at all. FURIA beating them 7-3 and setting us up for a clubhouse that looked like it was going in FURIA's favor in a hurry. 5-1 the first half, 6-3 the scoreline when FURIA finally moved to championship point. And as you can see on your screen, FaZe Clan have clawed it back 3 consecutive rounds, and they are oh so desperate to make that 4 and move to championship point themselves.
Back in round 6, when FURIA were closing out that 5-1 first half, Parker, they did it with a flawless round, and we worried that that was going to be the nail in the coffin, that was going to be just all of the momentum favoring the team in black, but FaZe Clan were still able to answer back. That shows the experience that they have as a roster. Now with their own flawless round to end out their favorable half, we have to see it again from FURIA. This team is a lot younger. They're a lot less experienced, but they have to have that same grit, that same resilience to pull things back here and not let the game spiral out of control. Another Nitro Cell. They just don't stop with them, Parker, but that one doesn't land. Still one more in the pocket of KDS to try to fish for a kill, but for now, it's slow and steady. Cyber, the only player still roaming. He had a really important opening pick the last time they played this site, but now he commit to it. They're right and expecting on the side of FURIA, so he falls right back to the site and starts to play the clock with the rest of his team.
And a fadeaway as the home wrecking up top from Boxzera begins. Very important that you paralyze these defenders. Take away the ceiling, the roof above them, put them in disadvantageous spots, and that's exactly what FURIA is doing at the moment, and you best know that they will have players lined up to exploit FaZe. As to whether it succeeds, well, that's up to FaZe Clan and the way that they handle the adversity that's being thrown their way from FURIA. So far, nobody from FaZe has found themselves in the line of sight of the attackers, and with 1 minute to go, every single player in the server is still very much alive.
This is where things get tense. You've got 4 Candels from Loira. You've got flashes on the side of Volps. 5 cans of bees for Hertz to lock into this bomb site. A nade being held by Boxzera. The utility on both sides is immense. It's going to be a crazy final 40 seconds, Parker, as these attackers look to get into sight.
Nade gets dropped. Here comes the blitz. Volp's gunned down immediately. Herds will join him. Volp's still technically bleeding out. The Ying of Loira is in, a 14th kill, but FaZe shut them out so effectively, and it's championship point for the world champions.
FaZe Clan, the team that you can never count out, the team you can never doubt. It doesn't matter the scoreline. Always willing to step up and bring things back. Now one away from closing this out against a young FURIA team who surely thought they had it in the bag. 7-6. The one lifeline that FURIA will get, Parker, is that they get to go to the defense. Round 15, if we need it, will be a different story. They'll have to find some way to get an attack, but for now, focus on doing what you do best. Their first half was great. They know how to defend this map. As long as they can stay out of their head, they should be able to bring this one to 15. They should be able to win on their defensive club, but they have to keep their mental strong.
It's as close as you're going to get. FURIA feeling the effects of this team, this FaZe squad. Even we were starting to count them out. We noted that our language was very obituary-esque, if I may say that. I may not say that. It's not a real word, but I made it up anyway.
I'll allow it. We'll allow it.
Of course. Well, I appreciate that. FaZe Clan, though, will now go on to attack. Only 2 successful attacks in this map. FURIA got 1. FaZe got 1. That's it. Overtime, things tend to break, and again, mental is going to play a huge factor here. FaZe Clan definitely look like a team that has been rejuvenated. They are taking far more chances. They are swarming FURIA, and it really does seem like if FaZe sets the tempo, which is something FaZe doesn't do all that often, Jesse, FURIA cannot answer it. If this is something that FaZe has picked up on, we could have a completely different attack from FaZe than what we saw through all 6 rounds when they were attacking half an hour ago.
Boxera, the 20-year-old superstar for FURIA, has grabbed the Clash for potentially his final round here in Stage 1 of the SAL. Good impact tricks coming out to keep this jacuzzi wall closed. That's part of the reason why this map has been so defender-sided, is the walls have not been the easiest in the world to get. They did ban out Kaid, Bandit, and Mira, so you have to imagine that they'll be successful in opening these walls eventually, but still, slowing things down is the name of the game for FURIA, making sure that you don't allow FaZe Clan to take space for free. Right now, they have full top floor control. FaZe have not decided to commit to that cash side clear. Instead, they've got KDS up inside of Logi, they've got players outside of Jacuzzi. They're ready to go for an aggressive move.
Take that bathroom wall down with it as well, so effectively cutting through those reinforcements used by FURIA. Just as we mentioned in the previous round, when you take care of the floor, it gets rid of the roof that the defenders can rely upon. If you're going to be extending out to gym and bedroom side of this map, or if you're defending the bomb site over in that part of the map, the more walls closed, the more security you have. They've repositioned Boxera now as Cyber's walking up the stairs, and he's missed an opportunity, but he doesn't dare, finding Herds. Vidiking on the board as well. All is falling by the wayside. Big Daddy Cyber with 2. Diaz tears through him, so his rampage will end, but Handy is there for the assist. All has fallen apart for FURIA. FaZe are your champions of Stage 1.